Good evening from the Sydney United Sports Centre. Hardy Mariners fans making the trip to Sydney's West as Cup specialists Sydney United 58 host the Central Coast Mariners in the round of 32 Hahn Australia Cup. Two A-League teams have already been eliminated, and on a cool night, will it be another falling by the wayside here? The Mariners only early in pre-season against a match-hardened Sydney United team who made the final in 2022 and currently sit third in NPL Men's New South Wales, having already lifted the Waratah Cup after a victory against Apia Leichhardt themselves, who are already waiting in the round of 16. That's the prize on offer for the winner here tonight. Central Coast Mariners, a totally new look squad under new manager John Hutchinson. Just how prepared are they for the challenge here on the synthetic surface at King Tom? So both teams making their way out onto the pitch to the strains of the classic FIFA anthem, one of the staples here at Sydney United Sports Centre for those who are regulars out in Adenza Park. Home team wearing their red kits tonight, Mariners in their yellow away kit with blue shorts and yellow socks. And if anything, they are starting as underdogs here tonight. At least the bookmakers seem to think that Sydney United are the favourites to advance, and even in 90 minutes in this one. Handshakes taking place as part of the pre-match pleasantries. So let's take a look at how the teams line up. Sydney United are coming off a 1-0 win against the Marconi Stallions at the weekend, and they are top of the NPL. They've closed the gap to just 4 points. Two changes to the team. Adrian Vlatstalica, who had a brief guest stint at Sydney FC, comes into the starting lineup, while Japanese midfielder Tomoki Wada is the player that allows Carlos de Oliveira to roam as an attacking midfielder, while Mason Wells starts as the centre forward, fresh off scoring the weekend goal. Central Coast Mariners, by contrast, have lost a host of players in the off-season. McCalmont, DePizio, Theoharis, Sabatnor, Blair Tapp, Nathan Paul, and even Kato Taniguchi. And they have filled their squad with young talent. Shumba Murakoi will play at centre-back. Oliver O'Carroll from the Melbourne City Academy is just 17 years old, and its teens are plenty on the bench. Beck Vinovsky from Melbourne City also. Jesse Mantell, who we saw in the A-League earlier this season. And Mariners youth like Callum McCaskey and Lawrence Taylor, both teenagers. Aston Reed, 17 years old, is the son of former Socceroo Paul Reed. Will we see him tonight? He's moved over from Sydney FC. There is Miro Vlastalica, and next to him Ron Corrie, the legendary goalkeeping coach, still in his 80s here at Sydney United 58. Miro Vlastalica was coach in 2022. He spent some time away from the job, and now he's back in the chair, succeeding Ante Juric, who took Sydney United to the round of 16 last season, where they bowed out right here against Sydney FC. There's Tomoki Wada. Watch out for him in midfield. He is the linchpin of this Sydney United team. And there is John Hutchinson, the Central Coast Mariners coach. First competitive appointment in the job. Will he suffer a cup set, or will the Mariners find a way through to the round of 16? Ali Orgler will be leading the line. A strong start to the A-League season from him, and he might be back in Graham Arnold's plans for Iraq and their run to the Asian Cup, which is, of course, in January. Tonight's referee is Sophie Allam, assistants Liam Smith and Sebastian Ruskin, and Luke Chapman is the fourth official. Mason Wells to kick things off. He's actually from the Central Coast, and maybe he'll have a little point to prove, because he is often appearing on many of those best player outside the A-League lists, and there's no better time to shine than tonight. Underway at the Sydney United Sports Centre for Hahn Australia Cup round of 32 action, and Eric Partaloo has come up to the commentary box to join me. Eric, as we watch the ball cleared from the centre of the Mariners' defence, you spoke to both coaches pre-game, got a feel for the atmosphere and the occasion. What are you expecting tonight?
Yeah, great to see you, Teo. Great to see you again. Look, I think everyone watched the games unfold last night, and we saw a couple of cup sets. There's two coaches out there hoping. One's hoping for a cup set, the other one's trying to avoid it. And John Hutchinson, as we see Sydney United get forward here, John Hutchinson's all too aware that his side is maybe not at their best in terms of fitness, but their quality and what they have on show, he thinks will be enough to get them across the line. But they're facing a side that's played 30 games competitively already in Sydney United, and they'll be match hardened, and look out for that second half. That'll be where the difference is made.
So Andrew Redmayne, the veteran presence in goal, his leadership will be crucial in the absence of Trent Sainsbury with a hamstring strain that meant he wasn't going to be risked tonight, some 10 weeks from the beginning of the A-League season in the middle of October. Now the Mariners trying to advance through the left channel, and they're going to earn themselves a throw-in. Oliver O'Carroll. Early touches will be important for him, the teenage midfielder. Getting a shot at the A-League. Not a surprise to see the Mariners scouring the country for young talent that they can bring in to develop. Give them first-team opportunity in minutes. No Hahn tonight, unfortunately. One of the brighter talents in the competition for the coming season. And all the way back to Andrew Redmayne. When you're used to playing on grass, Eric, what sort of adjustment is the synthetic? Many of the Mariners players in the NPL, their League One team, will be used to synthetics, but what about the A-League players who would only get this experience a handful of times a year?
It certainly helps you to knock the ball around. I don't think in week 3 of pre-season you want to start playing 90 minutes on the synthetic if you're not used to it. And there's Ogla with another great switch, but this side will know how to play a little bit in terms of the shape. They've still got the bulk of the players there, Moragas, you know, Donnell, Redmayne, Storm Rue, Ogla, Laval, Brantman, Lima. So there's players that have been there from last season, but the message was clear before the game from John Hutchinson. The Central Coast Mariners want to be the club that promotes youth and gives youth a real try.
Here comes Julian Chop down the right side, and the ball is headed to the edge of the penalty area. Mariners trying to clear through Lucas Moragas. Now an opportunity for Bailey Rule. He's the brother of Matilda centre-back Charlie Rule. Very good NPL player, Bailey Rule. Scored the goal that ensured that Sydney United would qualify for the top 6 in finals last season, so he does have an eye for it on the occasions he gets forward. And now in midfield, Leroy Jennings, the Fiji international, to Tomoki Wada. Went for the first time pass, trying to release Mason Wells. And Moragas has the ball back at his feet. Wells trying to cut off the angles for a back pass. And all the way to Andrew Redmayne, right on his own goal line. He clears from the last line of defence. As the ball bounces into midfield. Block tackle applied by Koya Nakano. Japanese left back of Sydney United, and here he is on the ball now, sending it to Carlos de Oliveira.
And that's something I noticed watching them play on the weekend against Marconi. They really stifled the midfield, and they're quick to win the ball back, Sydney United. In the past, maybe against an A-League opposition, they would have sat in, waited for them to make their move, but tonight they're going to go for it. They're going to step in there and try and press and dominate possession. They've got a lot of tidy players in there.
As the Mariners win possession back through Chris Donnell. Ball recycled, played back, and a good save, and out for a corner kick. Sydney United protesting, but what a good stop from Adam Pavlicic there, coming up with the first meaningful moment of the night.
Yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic save, and a beautiful cross in from Donnell that gives the Mariners an opportunity now from a set piece where you expect them to be quite strong in the air.
So an out-swinging corner. And United able to repel it rather easily. Moragas the ball back in and held on to by Pavlicic. And that will be a confidence booster. Long ball. Mason Wells chasing after it, and Moragas back to his own keeper in Redmayne.
Yeah, it's great coverage there from Moragas. It's exactly what you want from the left back there. And just in terms of what Sydney United are trying to achieve there on the fast counter-attack, the ball does hold up. So that ball from Pavlicic, I think they're going to try that quite often, particularly from set pieces when it breaks down.
Mariners happy to play the ball around their defence. Shumba Mutukoi. An unconvincing header from Storm Rue. Opened the door ever so slightly for Carlos de Oliveira to go and chase. Rule with a header back into the attacking half. Donnell gets up. Battle for possession. De Oliveira, Nakano. Dylan Rose being hurried by Ali Orgler, but he recovers the ball, and a foul is going to be paid as well.
Yeah, you will see a lot of play coming down this left-hand side. Nakano really comfortable in possession, and they want to try and involve players like Carlos De Oliveira. He's a real playmaker that starts on the left and drifts his way into the middle, into the action.
Dylan Rose over to Bailey Rule. He goes back to Liam McGing. He's got a strong defensive partnership at the centre of defence with Adrian Vlastelica. Now Koya Nakano. Ooh, loose touch, but he's able to recover the ball. Mariners able to win back possession. Rue. Number of passing options open to him. And the long throw into McGing, who nearly stumbles at the key moment. Eventually sees the ball out for a throw-in.
It's a question mark again for the Central Coast Mariners. You know, we saw Ollie Laval, Donnell coming into the side last year and go on that undefeated streak, but it's through the middle getting opportunities. You can see Ali Agla right now operating as that number 10 player, making a forward run. That's where he wants the ball.
He's going to bring the ball down here and then veer away from the penalty area. O'Carroll is his option. Oliver O'Carroll attempted through ball. Bailey Brantman was chasing after it. We saw some neat goals from him last season, Bailey Brantman. Definitely knows how to push on from midfield and become a goal-scoring threat. And of course, the other centre-back for the Mariners tonight, Noah McCann, is the Scottish Youth International on loan from QPR. Now part of the Mariners family, as they are owned by the same parent company. And that affiliation, no doubt, will be utilised as best it can, I imagine, both ways into the future.
Yeah, it has to be both ways. And, you know, he was actually at the National League South side, Tonbridge Angels last year on loan from QPR. So he's learnt the hard way in the lower levels of English football. So, you know, in terms of what they've got there out on the pitch now, it's one thing, but it's got to go the other way, where you're hoping that some of the rich young talent that we have in this country can go perhaps all the way to QPR and get straight into that setup. And that's exactly why the Mariners will want this relationship.
Sydney United happy to watch them in possession here in non-threatening territory. And the crowd has just faded. The hill is as packed as I've seen. Yeah. Absolutely, the crowd has come in late out of the Dom over to the sporting fields to watch the action tonight. I was here on Easter Monday when they played Marconi the first time this season, Eric, and the grandstand that we're calling from, the Boca stand, was packed, the hill was packed. It was a great atmosphere, and got to say, for a Wednesday night, the crowd is actually starting to get a little bit close to that sort of number. So the fans are voting with their feet for the Australia Cup once again.
Well, they're having a great run in the NPL, sitting third currently. It's a real three-horse race now, as we see Andrew Edmayne under pressure kicking the ball out. So this team, what it does well is apply pressure and continue pressure and score goals. The best teams in the world do that, and Sydney United have been experts in the NPL at doing that this season.
And they have possession here in the attacking half. Rule to take the throw in. Jennings is target. Leroy Jennings trying to chop a little back heel forward, and the Mariners are going to clear their lines to the extent that they win a throw in. Bit of indecisiveness, and now the ball is hurled down the line. Rose cycles the ball back to Vlastelica. Now Nakano. And he was hoping for Tomoki Wada, who had moved in to lead the line on that phase of play, with Wells sitting a little deeper. But comfortable enough for the Mariners' defence. Here is Noah McCann with a long ball, hoping for Ali Orgler. It's been intercepted. Rule comes across into midfield. Now Carlos De Oliveira. Chris Donnell is quite a physical presence. Able to usher him away. The ball goes to the right. Jennings. Now Chop has joined in the most recent transfer window from the Wanderers Academy, so he was playing regularly for the Western Sydney Wanderers youth team. Came to Sydney United for first team opportunities and no doubt the Australian Championship later in the year. And here's O'Carroll of Central Coast. Trying to clear down the line. Nakano made it a little difficult. Here's Donnell. Advantage given by the referee. Brandman knocks it back to McCann.
And that's where their shape gets a little bit disjointed, City United, because Mason Wells, number 23, has been playing as a winger, but on the weekend he was asked to play as that number 9 option. You can see himself and Tomoki Wada having to then decide which one of my players are going to go and press from the front centrally. They're just getting caught a little bit by playing either side of each other. It needs to be a little bit more distinct who's going to go first and who's going to be the one backing up. Here's Mason Wells here pressing from the front.
Well, it is an interesting striker situation for Sydney United because Michael Krislovic and Kyle Chimenti, their two nominal centre forwards, both of them capable of playing as target men, are on the bench tonight. Krislovic with 12 goals this season, 7 in the league, 5 in the cup, most of them in the front half of the year. He's a towering presence, but he has had the goals dry up. That's why Sydney United are looking for different avenues to goal. You've seen a famous face in the crowd, Eric?
Yeah, Miller Yetnak's here taking the game in. Great to see him back at Sydney United and watching this team play in the Australia Cup, and also obviously the Central Coast Mariners, where no doubt everyone remembers his start of his career, and it's great to see him back.
The game has hit a bit of a lull at about the 13-minute mark, as again, the Mariners are just happy to play the ball in front of a set Sydney United formation. They're not probing too much at the moment. And now the chase is on. De Oliveira and Wells are going to lead a press right into the penalty area. Murakoi back to Redmayne. And Wells is going to press all the way up here. O'Carroll over to Shumba Murakoi. And his outlet pass, well, they're not going to escape, but are they going to be punished? That's the question. It's a little bit hurried from the Central Coast, but things are going to work out. O'Carroll plays it back to McCann. And now Moragas. They're able to escape down the wing. Brantman's advances are halted.
I wonder how much we're going to see of Lucas Moragas playing left back in a 4 this season. He was so good playing when he got more opportunity to get forward and spread his wings and getting forward like these opportunities. That's where you want to have him.
Now a marauding forward run. Shoulder challenge came from Rose. Play continues. And now bustling work from Nakano. He dispossessed Orgler, but Storm Roux was going to allow him a clean advance onto the ball. Orgler gets his chance. He's legged. And Carlos de Oliveira gives away the free kick. Wide set-piece opportunity here for the visiting team.
Well, he's another danger man for the Mariners, Aliagla. And he's picking the right moments to go and get the ball in the middle. And he's also getting the right moments to go out wide and try and stand up somebody and take them on. And he just buys that free kick there for the Mariners.
No distinct height advantage for one team or the other at these set pieces. Of course, no Nathan Paul anymore this season for the Mariners. He's moved on to MacArthur. Here comes Ali Orgler's free kick to the edge of the box. It's going to go just wide of the target. It popped through the penalty area there, but the casualness of Adam Pavlicic should have been enough to indicate it was going off target.
Gee, it looked close. And it was a great little ball on the edge of the box. Not often that you score from that sort of area or that range, but just enough on it to make a little bit of a problem for Pavlicic.
So here is McCann. Sydney United lay in wait. Tomoki Wada is the most advanced attacker, but almost a game of cat and mouse when the Central Coast play out from the back at the moment.
And that'll be really important. The central defensive partnership this season. They've lost Paul, they've lost Tap. Trent Sainsbury, speaking to him before the game, he was maybe a week or two away, a little niggle in his hamstring, but that's a new look central partnership for the Mariners. They've got to get that, solidified before the start of the A-League season. These games are great for that.
Now Andrew Redmayne giving some live instructions to his teammates. And the body language, I think, tells the story. It's all a little bit stationary ahead of the ball. And now the pass comes. Mutakoi. Donnell. And Redmayne. Now to Moragas. And it's out. A lot of pondering for not much result there for the Central Coast, and Sydney United take back over.
Well, it's interesting, Teo, to see whether or not it's a good thing for the Mariners just to try and slow things down and get themselves to half-time. We know fitness is going to be an issue, but Sydney United have played a lot of games, and they only played recently on Sunday as well. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see which team sort of blinks first. Not really a lot of clear-cut opportunities just yet.
No, it's been, I think patient would be the most generous way to describe it so far. But it could spark to life at any moment. The long ball down the right, hoping for Tomoki Wada. He's going to hook across into the box. Redmayne will watch it bounce, and watch it bounce out for a goal kick.
And we talk about those half chances. That was maybe one of them for Tomoki Wada. He possibly could have aimed that a little bit better and asked a question of Andrew Redmayne. It's just been work with the feet for the Mariners goalkeeper so far.
Yeah, there's not a sense of looming tension in the game just yet. Things yet to really heat up. Feels like it's been an elongated feeling out process. And that might be enough to raise the heckles here. A bit of a midfield battle for the ball. And the referee's got to come in and just calm things down as Dylan Rose wants to take the free kick.
You asked for it, Teo. And somehow
tried to speak it into existence.
It happened. It really did. And yeah, it's great to see Donnell going in hard. Rose is there asking for the ball and asking for the foul. Does well to put his body in front of the man and the ball, and gets rewarded with the free kick.
Blastalitza. Headed by Rue. Second ball all important. Donnell through the back of De Oliveira. And the far bigger frame of Donnell sent De Oliveira sprawling there, but illegally so in the eyes of the referee.
Yeah, he looks fit, doesn't he? Donnell, he was a real pillar for the Mariners at the end of last season, and this year he's not taking a backward step. He's going into every challenge, and he's just got to be a little bit careful he doesn't miss time another one.
Donnell, one of the beneficiaries of the Australian Championship. He was playing for Sydney Olympic into November before signing for the Mariners in the January transfer window. Here's the free kick. Wada is going to shoot on target. And it nearly got a little flick on the way through from De Oliveira, but it bounced truly into the gloves of Redmayne.
Oh, I really like that from Tomoki Wada. I really like the idea because they know that the Mariners have a little bit of height. And for a player that's played across a lot of countries, across Asia, played at Rockdale for a couple of seasons, if you remember that as well, he's got some delivery.
O'Carroll being followed by Chop. Now the long ball from left back by Moragas. Barely seen Ollie Laval so far. Donnell brings the ball down in midfield, but he's got players snapping at his heels. Moragas loves to get forward. He's got a really good left foot, but he's not going to be allowed to use it just yet. Now he pulls it out, and the header is over the bar. And Ollie Laval, who's been limited in his looks at goal and opportunities, not able to keep that header down.
You just can't be so static in the box, and you can't be ahead of the ball waiting, particularly when you've got Lucas Moragas in the side. You've got to try and angle your way away from a defender and allow Moragas to get to the line, which is his trademark, to be quite honest. They should be expecting that cross to come in.
And the shirt grab in midfield, not at all disguised from Julian Chop, so it will be a a Mariners free kick. We're almost a quarter of the way through the night's action. Of course, there must be a winner tonight. Extra time and penalties if we can't find one.
Wasn't there some action last night, Teo? There's still shockwaves going through the country, I think. We saw a couple of A-League teams getting knocked out. Some great action. We did get one penalty shootout up in Queensland.
It's the first time since 2022 and only the third time ever that an NPL team, Lions FC, has beaten an A-League team in a penalty shootout. Perth Glory bowing out of the competition at the round of 32 stage. The Mariners hoping to avoid a similar outcome. Brew. McCann. Now Donnell. Redmayne will be lured out of his penalty area by the back pass, but no immediate danger from his direct opponents.
This will really settle the tempo though, Teo. I think this is a part in the game where they want to get themselves into these positions now and progress it a little bit further.
Stormroo is going to allow that to happen down the right flank here. Brantman coming over to help. And Vlastelica wins the ball away. Donnell. And he's going to concede ground here back to Murakoi. Redmayne confident enough to stop the ball to a standstill in defensive midfield. Donnell.
Yeah, he looks really comfortable, doesn't he? He came from the NPL, from Sydney Olympic, the setup there, so he's obviously really comfortable playing against a team like Sydney United. He's not afraid to get on the ball, but they need to make a little bit more use of his runs and sometimes not even give him the ball. It's the next line into that sort of position now.
O'Carroll ran himself into trouble, scooped the ball away and tried to run on, but he's encountered more obstacles, this time in the form of Dylan Rose. The Mariners slowly crimping forward. Not on this occasion either. What can United do with the ball? Not much. Orgler takes over. A little sidestep. The referee perhaps obscuring his path to a crossfield ball, so he decided why not shoot. And even though it was tumbling off target, it's been held onto by Pavlicic.
Yeah, he's one of those players who's not afraid to have a go, Ali Agla. We saw a lot of special goals from him last season when everybody thought, no, don't shoot from that angle. And all of a sudden it's in the back of the net, so watch this space. I think he's going to go for more of those sorts of opportunities.
Nakano. Hurried clearance. Right in front of the Sydney United bench. Mason Wells not able to control the ball on his chest. Nakano again required in some one-on-one defending. And maybe a hopeful sink to the ground there. Just a little bit of push and shove afterwards from Arthur De Lima, who has been struggling to get into the game so far. Another of the Mariners youngsters. We've seen him score in the A-League. We've seen him semi-regularly. Here's Wells. A bit of holding going on. He's got a loose man advancing in Jennings. It's Leroy Jennings, and he puts it high over the bar.
That was a glorious opportunity. Mason Wells does so well there to hold off the challenge of the backline of the Mariners. And we haven't seen Jennings a lot in this first half. That was an opportunity for him to get forward. Great body strength from Wells, and he just opened up on that right-hand side, and he just could not keep that drive down. Andrew Redmayne in a good position. He's got to try and hit it high. That's been as close as they've come, Sydney United.
And it unfolded with a great deal of simplicity, it must be said. Jennings advancing unmarked, and, well, that pass could be a costly turnover. Vlastelica. Now Chop. He's outpointed by Mutakoi. Donnell. And advantage given to the Mariners for the foul by Vlastelica. Laval escapes with the ball. He plays it to Brantman. First time shot. And it's wide to the near side. With the aid of a deflection? No, it was offside.
And that's the dangerous part for Sydney United. If they commit one player forward, as they did there with Chop, who's made the really intelligent run to get forward, it's the space in behind that the Mariners were waiting for somebody just to play it in there and get that opportunity and have that numerical advantage.
Bouncing ball needs to be dealt with, and Jennings just volleys it along the touchline. And it's going to hit the corner flag and go out for a throw in. And perhaps these wide throw-ins in defence is where we've seen the Mariners at their most indecisive as to how to actually advance the ball so far. And again, they give possession away as a result. Jennings, a little layoff was neat. And the ball prodded into the penalty area, but to no great effect. And it will go out for a goal kick.
Yeah, sometimes I think for Sydney United, they just need to be a little bit more calm in the final third. They've played some really good 1- and 2-touch stuff on the edge of the box in the NPL games, and Mason Wells did that so well on the weekend. Great footwork to score against Marconi, and that's why he's up there. He's got that composure, he's got the quality to produce that sort of moment. They need to get the ball to him, to his feet.
Bit of a blind back pass attempted there from Mutakoi. Must have trusted in the shout from Andrew Redmayne, and thus his goalkeeper did appear. Possession is coughed up though. De Oliveira being chased by Rue. De Oliveira, and for the snapping at the heels, Storm Rue protests his innocence. But the referee awards a mid-range free kick just beyond shooting range.
Yeah, that's great refereeing. You could see exactly what De Oliveira was trying to achieve, but Storm Rue knew his goalkeeper was just off the line, and it was a moment of danger. And he made just a little bit of contact to make sure that the referee stopped him, but maybe didn't give him a yellow card.
So we saw a free kick from much wider by Tomoki Wada, which he put on target. There was almost an attempt to distract Andrew Redmayne with a cross-goalkeeper run. How about this opportunity? Just the one man in a wall. Wada looking for teammates. It's all Mariners, and headed away initially by McCann. Orgler caught in possession at the edge of the box. Jennings swept a left-footed strike. He was blocked away. Now Orgler, and he draws a free kick here. He's almost juggling to his own advantage and eventually got knocked over for his trouble.
Well, those ones hurt because the fall on the artificial pitch is never nice. As you see, he just couldn't get the ball down, Ali Agla, and Vlastelica came all the way across just to make sure the danger man didn't get forward. But I'm really liking Ali Agla playing a little bit more centrally. I think that's definitely a focus shift under John Hutchinson. It's not stand outside and wait for the ball and maybe get it 7 or 8 times a half. He wants him to be on the ball, and he should be more on the ball.
Right on cue. Here he is playing it forward. Laval steered away by McGing. Plays it back to De Lima, and De Lima just with a bobbling first touch that runs harmlessly down to the keeper. And we took over half an hour played. Scoreless. Not too many half chances or big moments in the game. Just one good save from Pavlicic that was important, setting the tone early. As Jennings goes to ground, out in front of the hill. And no time for any debate. The free kick taken quickly. Rue's header. De Lima. And De Oliveira. To turn and distribute. He goes wide to the right. Rule. Nakano. Wells, back to Rose. Clipped over the top. Koya Nakano continued his run, and the ball escaped him as he advanced. Nakano, who scored 2 goals this season, even though he is starting at left back tonight.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed watching some of their patterns early on here, Sydney United. Nakano sort of moving out wide and allowing De Oliveira to come into position, and that allows Dylan Rose to step in, as he did there, to try and play that final pass. And sometimes that's all it takes, is that movement, but you've all got to be on the same wavelength. And you can see when it's well drilled, when it's well executed, they can create a decent chance that goes inside the box. They need more of that.
Yeah, they're just starting to edge the territory battle now. Mariners in need of a response. Maybe trying to spend some time down in attack. They're playing effectively a front 4 at the moment. There's a big gap in midfield with plenty of attackers hanging off the last defender. The ball's got to get down to them first. Here's Rue. He wants players to come up into the midfield third and present for the ball, and that's exactly what De Lima did. McCann. Donnell. De Lima. Now O'Carroll. Lucas Moragas. And the 1-2 with O'Carroll, a little bit sticky, but the Mariners able to get back into open space. McCann, and the pass intercepted by Chop. Can Sydney United counter at speed? Carlos De Oliveira being pursued, and Arthur De Lima able to backtrack and win the ball off him, but it has hurried the game up ever so slightly. Storm Rue with a long ball, and a rather tame giveaway of possession. Answered in kind.
They're really comfortable in this sort of position, Tay. I've watched Oliver O'Carroll alongside Donnell there, and they're just offering themselves every single time. And whilst it's good getting the ball in those sorts of positions, they need to progress into that front line. And we saw him play in the under-17s in the AFC Cup back in May, scoring against Vietnam. So he's a player that can get himself a little bit further forward.
The Mariners are advanced now. Moragas. Is it back? Murakoi. It's as many numbers as they've committed forward so far in open play here, Central Coast. Now a couple of players bounce back closer to halfway to just guard against the counter. Almost with good reason. Sydney United nearly winning the ball. Here's a hurried cross, and that'll be easy for Pavlicic, right in front of the eyes. Able to pluck it out of the air.
Yeah, that's great movement, that. Again, trying to allow O'Carroll to get forward, Moragas, Brantman, somebody with a left foot that can go out there and deliver those balls. But the problem being for the Mariners, again, Ollie Laval isolated. Where is he going to run? Is he getting across the near post? Is he going to the far post? They haven't put a lot of pressure on Adam Pavlicic yet.
Left-footed clearance this time. Strong aerial duel from Murakoi, but his teammates able to respond, and the ball bounces out. As we dig into the final 10 minutes of regulation in the first half, who is going to blink? Who's going to really make a move here? Because the game is a bit of a stalemate at present. Here's an attempt from Ali Orgla from long range, and even with the bounce up off the synthetic, that was never going to trouble the goalkeeper. But you called it early. You said he would try his luck from distance, Eric, and he hasn't let you down there. That was 40 yards on the touchline when he struck.
Well, when players like Ali Agla start getting in the mood and trying things and expressing themselves, that's a good sign. Particularly in a side that likes their pattern of keeping the ball, they need that. They need somebody to go and try something different. And if he's getting things on target, if he's making the goalkeeper work, then that's fine. It's got to be more of that from Ali Agla. It gets his game to that next level.
Again, a familiar situation for the Mariners. A throw-in at fullback, where things are very indecisive. And again, Storm Roux caught in two minds. The long throw's the only get out here. Laval making a contest. It is going to be Sydney United's possession as a result. De Oliveira trying to get clever. Donnell shut him down immediately.
Well, I think you're onto something there, Teo. Both teams struggling with throw-ins and figuring a way to get out or progress.
Wells putting some pressure on. Redmayne sizes up his options here. Donnell clips it out to right back. Mutakoi. And now Rose, well, he had an opportunity there with Jennings free over on the right flank, but he tried to go a little bit shorter to chop. Here comes Rule, had to go and got to the ball. Brantman backtracking and both slide in. And it finds its way out. And there's a bit of afters here, a little bit of chestiness between the players. And the referee, Sophie Allam, has got a little bit of a simmer to cool here.
Yeah, it's competitive. That's what you want to see in the Australia Cup. That's what you expect to see. Both players going for the ball, and perhaps that just spices it up a notch and hopefully brings out something here in the final third for Sydney United.
The Mariners are going to have possession back here. Moragas. Onto the head of Rule. Wada volleying on. Now switch of flanks. Carlos de Oliveira. Look at the speed of Nakano on the overlap. That's where the ball is heading. Koya Nakano, oh, he ran himself into trouble. Too fast almost, and he just about tripped on the ball.
Yeah, against the A-League sides, you don't get those sorts of opportunities all the time. And look, it's almost near the half-time break, and that's the time that it came in. And they fluffed their lines. Probably a little bit tired just getting there from left-back Nakano, but it was good movement once again from Carlos de Oliveira. He's trying to get on the ball. He's trying to make things happen for Sydney United.
Donnell. To thread the ball through the left. Played on by Brantman. McGing away. Brant again. Two opponents to deal with. Make it three. As Bailey Rule comes across as well and wins a throw-in. Well, here's a question. I know we're still just over 5 minutes from halftime. Have you seen enough from Sydney United in an attacking sense to persist with the current setup, or would you move Mason Wells back to his preferred position, which is on the right side of a front three, and bring on one of Michael Krislovich or Kyle Chimendi to play as a designated, target man in the second half?
Yeah, I know what you're onto there, Teo, and look, the longer this game goes on for Sydney United, the better. It's going to be dragging in the second half for a lot of these Mariners players. Not played a lot of football, although looking at them, they look pretty fit. Donnell in the middle of the park, O'Carroll, they're not really slowing down. They look sharp, they look energetic, but you're right. Maybe Sydney United later in the game, they need a physical presence to go up against those two young players at the back for the Mariners in McCann and Matukioi.
The Mariners have a very young bench, all teenagers, but the spare keeper, Dylan Parage-Cullen, and Harrison Steele, who's the one senior established member of the substitutes tonight. As we see a long ball here that Andrew Redmayne will roam out of his box and look to play. Moonlighting as a right back as he clears it along the touchline, but is that sitting in the back of your mind as the 11 out there, knowing that it is just kids on the bench, or do you play your natural game and it's up to the gaffer to, look at whether or not you're blowing chunks and it's time to come off for a rest?
It's a difficult question to answer because only John Hutchinson will know that, because although they want to progress the Mariners in this competition, it's day one in terms of a competitive sense. So you've got to be mindful that some of these players you don't want to be losing to long-term, short-term injuries. And, whilst it's the Australia Cup, you've got to be mindful that you're building still. You're in that building phase. Week 3, 45, 60 minutes would be acceptable. Anything beyond that, and maybe you're just going into that little red zone for some of the players, not all.
Are Sydney United starting to take over proceedings here in the final 5 minutes of regulation in the first half? They've certainly taken over territory. Now they're starting to get a lot more possession and in more dangerous areas as well. McGing. Jennings has had United's best chance so far. No progress to be made there, but he's got help from Wada, who just clears it over to Nakano into the middle. Chop. And now De Oliveira squares it, and Tomoki Wada, well, he tried almost a scoop shot there and only succeeded in sending it into the night sky.
But that's what they're good at, Sydney United. It's going from one side to the other and playing little one-touch football on the edge of the box. The execution wasn't there. It was extremely high. But you can see the idea, because Wada's coming from a position right behind that midfield. Nobody tracked him. And that's where they've scored a lot of their goals this year, is getting the ball down and cutting things back for someone to come onto.
5 times they've been eliminated by A-League opposition in the Cup, Sydney United. Twice they've been able to topple A-League opponents, both in 2022 when they made the final. They've only really been blown away once by an A-League opponent. 2019 in the round of 16, they lost 7-1 here against the Western Sydney Wanderers. But it's otherwise always been competitive for long stages. Central Coast now, can they find a late spark in the remaining minutes of the first half? We've spoken about the tactics of both teams, but anything else you're mulling over if you were either gaffer for your halftime team talk, or as you say, is it very much day one for the Mariners, not too many instructions required, and you suggested that Sydney United would be happy for this pattern to continue as is?
Well, imagine you were Mark Milligan last night at 2-0 at halftime, having a team talk and what they went through in the second half. That's the beauty of the Australia Cup. I don't think, you have to expect the unexpected, and all it takes is one goal to change a football match. Unfortunately, the Jets couldn't hang on. They sort of run out of gas towards the end. I think Sydney United are hoping for that. They're hoping that the Mariners get to a situation where, they're not really creating a lot going forward, so that's fine for them. But it's in these sorts of areas now. How can they combine to get that one good opportunity and potentially snatch and grab?
Great touch out of the air by Ali Orgler. Bratman presenting for the ball. That's where it's heading. Bratman, 2 opponents on his case, but Moragas is free. First time cross, and it sits up in the 6-yard box. Laval saved away. Massive from Pavlicic. And it's almost like the Mariners flicked a switch at the end of the half. And as Mason Wells goes to ground in a tangle, the referee sees nothing untoward. But how about the save?
Well, it's a massive save from Adam Pavlicic. But it should have been put away, let's be honest. The Mariners should have been 1-0 up there. That was as good as it's got.
It would have been a hammer blow for Sydney United heading into the rooms as well. They've still got stoppage time to play with here, the Mariners. De Lima, good strength. And McGing in the right spot. Laval was waiting for a tap in behind him, but the ball never arrived. The Mariners have found something here late in the half. And they've only got the 1 minute of stoppage to play with. Now it's United's turn. Neat touch from Wells. Jennings motoring. And that was crucial from McCann. Body on the line. And no foul. He just concedes a throw-in. It was solid contact from Jennings, who ran through there. They were both sprinting for that loose ball.
Well, they had to. And that was a goal-saving tackle, perhaps, from McCann. The Mariners fans, they like that one. The few that are here.
Good on them for getting out and supporting their club. Whether travelling or already living in Sydney's west to make a short trip. It's beautiful weather here at the King Tom tonight. There's a winter coolness, but there's barely a breath of wind, and it's been reflected by a healthy crowd coming in. Stoppage time almost expired. fact, it has. And we are scoreless at half-time. So, a game of limited chances. Central Coast will feel as though they did enough to take the lead. Sydney United, only speculative opportunities so far. But the game is level, and they are definitely in this contest as far as possession and territory. Half-time at the Sydney United Sports Centre, and we are scoreless between Sydney United and the Central Coast Mariners.
What are you doing?
We're planking.
It's because of our internet providers.
We're stuck in 2011.
Same slow internet speeds.
And high prices.
It's like a nightmare.
Enough planking. Superloop is a network purpose-built for the super-fast future of the internet. You are free.
Don't take it lying down, Australia. Refresh your internet.
You are free.
Welcome back to the Sydney United Sports Centre, where it is scoreless in the Hahn Australia Cup at half-time. In fact, it's scoreless in all 3 games at half-time that kicked off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern at the moment. And there has been a Sydney United goal of sorts, because Michael Pratejina, who played for Sydney United last season, has scored for Macarthur. So one of their former youngsters is on the score sheet, just not here in this game. And the Central Coast Mariners, they went into the rooms stinging after a near miss at the end of the first half of their own. Perhaps they feel as though they should be in the lead. Can they do something about it here at the start of the second 45? We're back underway in the Hahn Australia Cup round of 32, and Eric Partaloo rejoins me. Eric, as we scan our eyes around the pitch, it appears as though the 11s that started the game are back out there for the beginning of the second 45.
That's a good sign. That means there's a lot of trust out there from both coaches in what they've seen in that first half. It was competitive. It got really fiery at the end there. I don't know if our cameras picked it up, but they were scuffling all the way down into the tunnel. They had to be separated both sides, so let's hope that they bring some of that zest into the second half.
Yeah, it was a bit strange because it was well after the halftime whistle. It was almost like just walking in each other's proximity was enough to set things off at the end of the first half, but no cards administered, no need for any disciplinary action, and now the focus entirely, for now, back on the action between the two teams. As we see Jennings here, he had arguably Sydney United's best chance of the first half, and he's able to draw a free kick here, and they do have some technicians, Tamoki Wada chiefly among them, who can always put a dangerous set piece into the box. And he's pulled rank here to take this free kick from the right. So, an early test back out of the rooms for the Mariners' defence. Referee just giving a telling off to the pack of players, thus the build-up and the anticipation. But we're ready now. Here comes the free kick. Wada puts it into a teasing territory, and a diving header is able to clear the ball out towards the corner. Wada's going to get a second chance here, and he squares it over to Dylan Rose. Rose with a left-footed lift. It's headed to the edge of the box, and a volley coming from Julian Chop. And it's gone over the bar.
Well, I've seen worse efforts. That was a good attempt from Chop. And Tamoki Wada again just swinging that ball in from the free kick. This is where they've got a lot of joy this evening. Sydney United is playing that ball into the box in the air and picking up that second ball. And right now the Mariners, Moragas gets to that ball, but he didn't really direct it out of the traffic. You want to try and get it out towards the sideline.
Now the Mariners, can they put together their first attack of the second half? No, they won't. Bailey Rule coming through with an interception and sending it to Jennings. He's steered away from the penalty area though. And it's out for a throw in. Down towards Jennings again. Can he get the better of Moragas here? Jennings held up. Now two opponents on him. The ball cycled around the top of the penalty area. Chop back to Rose. Oh, almost given away. He very nearly played it to Laval, but it works out to the feet of Vlastelica in the end. Now De Oliveira. Carlos De Oliveira happy to concede a bit of ground. 9 goals for him this season, 5 in the league, 4 in the cup. De Oliveira is to have a meaningful look at the target so far this evening, though. Here's Koya Nakano. Vlastelica is going to make McGing work. Out to the right, just hurry the pace of the game up a bit. Jennings. Wada. And now Rose running laterally across the pitch. There was always the pass to Nakano on for him. Nakano, well, he skied that cross. And, well, we saw it in the first half with a ball that he stumbled over. He's had a bit of a disappointing end result at times in this game.
Yeah, but they've had really good moments tonight in switching the play. And I think that's a really good indication of taking on the coach's instructions when they're a side that's not played a lot of football. Yes, you want to try and move them side to side. The Mariners were running and chasing and trying to get back there. And Sydney United, if they do that a little bit more effectively, they're going to have chances. We see Moragas just stepping forward and drawing that foul.
Chop. Hard against the line. And he's given possession away. O'Carroll. Oh, it's hit the referee. And that will be a drop ball for the Mariners. And they didn't have too many numbers forward there, so they can almost treat this drop ball like an open field free kick here and advance a few numbers forward. Yeah, well, that was too directly treated like a free kick. The referee's got to drop the ball first.
He could have half volleyed it from there.
And now back live at the feet of O'Carroll.
Yeah, it's very early days into John Hutchison's tenure at the club, but I'm already starting to look at patterns of play here. And, you know, they want to try and control possession on the back line, in the back line. There hasn't been a great deal of movement in that wide area, high and wide. It's all come from the likes of Moragas and Storm Roo. They're very excited to get forward, but once they get there, there's not a lot of support for them.
Jennings has been prominent in this second half. Maybe he's been given word that he's got to run himself into the ground here up to the hour mark. Generally not a full 90-minute player, whether starting or coming off the bench, obviously, for Sydney United. Rose commits a foul here, and that will draw a few cries of derision.
Yeah, I really like watching Dylan Rose operate. He's that number 6 linchpin, and he's already stepping forwards and trying to stop the play from building up. So he's recognising the right times to go, when not to go. And he's plugging that gap really well tonight.
He was in the Sydney FC Academy up until the end of 2025, and then signed by Sydney United very much as a targeted recruit to step into senior football, but he'd already obviously been playing senior NPL with Sydney FC's team to a pretty good level. And he'll relish a stage like this. Of course, his brother Liam in the A-League at MacArthur, and his sister Alyssa was in the A-League Women's briefly at Sydney FC last season as well. So a great footballing family.
Yeah.
And the offside flag is up here. Mason Wells straying beyond the defensive line. So it's become a little bit more start-stop 7 minutes in. Back pass here. Redmayne had to hustle. It was almost a little sharp for him, but he got the feet right to clear it away. Chop. Jennings. Julian Chop. Little burst of acceleration. He creates some separation and wins his team a corner.
That's fantastic play from the youngster. Made his starting debut at the weekend against Marconi. Did look out of place, and it's great to see him just step forward there. Everyone was willing him to keep going and just keep going and then try and get something for Sydney United. He got a corner.
So will a set piece be the avenue to a goal in this scoreless game? Here's Wells with the corner. Appealing, not much playing of the ball at the back post. It's going to be recycled here. Nakano and Vlastelica linking up. Is the cut back on? Oh, too much wrestling. And the offside flag as well. It looked offside against Nakano to the naked eye, and the assistant referee agrees.
Well, the Central Coast Mariners have got to be very, very careful what they do here in the next couple of minutes, because that's 3 or 4 opportunities that's come into the box for Sydney United. And yes, they're trying to play out and have their pattern of play, but they need to progress into Sydney United's half. They keep coming back and putting themselves under pressure.
We've seen far less time spent idle on the ball in this half. There's definitely been a bit of a hurry up in terms of giving anyone as many free passes around the defensive line. How long that sustains for is another question. Here's Jennings sliding it through. Mason Wells, he's on his non-preferred right foot, and he still draws an excellent save out of Andrew Redmayne. But it won't count to the stat sheet because the flag is up for offside again.
That movement from Sydney United was almost pinpoint. Look at the run there, getting on the outside, just getting forward Jennings and threading that pass forward to the danger man. But it's going to take a lot more than that to beat Andrew Redmayne, and the offside flag as well.
Mutakoi, over to Moragas, good control out of the air. Brantman goes down by Rule, Jennings helping him. McGing on for Rule, that's where the ball heads, but he's down in the corner, extracts it. And that is deflected out for Carroll last. We'll be back to see some activity. Harrison Steele, I flagged in the first half, he was the only senior outfielder on the bench for the Central Coast Mariners. And a key part of their title-winning back-to-back season. He is going to come on here. Just waiting on the fourth official to raise the board, and it is the 17-year-old Oliver O'Carroll. You've been impressed with his first senior appearance for the Mariners, Eric.
Yeah, I really was. I think, getting 55, 60 minutes in the middle of the park and just building relationships with the likes of Donnell. And now you've got to ask the question for Harrison now is, can he cement a spot? Can he keep this spot?
So just over 10 minutes into the second half, the first substitution for either team in the game. Jennings. Donnell. Redmayne. Clearance not totally convincing. Jennings got a foot on it. Ali Orgler takes possession though. And his back pass will find Mutakoi. Over to Moragas. Brantman not able to get much change out of Bailey Rule there. Orgler. Rose. Mutakoi. The back pass to Redmayne. Redmayne in the nick of time as Mason Wells rose to a sprint. Here's Chop.
They're just lacking that intensity. You can see that second ball again dropping for Sydney United. It's not by a miracle, it's by design. They want it more. They want that second ball, that third ball. The Mariners don't have that intensity.
Are we seeing a change of tone in the game with regards to fitness levels and the ability to sustain the intensity then? Sydney United are going to respond with an attacking change of their own. It is the recently called up to the Sudan national team, Farah Koko, who is going to be coming on. And he is replacing Tomoki Wada. So this is an interesting move. Wada is such an integral part of the midfield for Sydney United. I don't think he's happy to be coming off either, if the body language is anything to go by. And Farah Koko, he's popped up with some important goals this season, 3 in the league, 4 in the cup so far this campaign. He often plays wide though, so we might be about to see a few positional switches here.
Yeah, he's played at Mountain United as well. And he can play either side. Looks as though he's just straight in there on that left-hand side. And what does that do for Mason Wells? Is he going to adjust to the other side?
Well, I think De Oliveira's gone into the middle as we see the ball. Is swept out for a goal kick here. Wells attempting to fashion a volley. So from the left side of attack, De Oliveira goes into the attacking midfield position occupied by Tomoki Wada. And Farah Koko comes on. They lose a lot in terms of set-piece taking as well without Wada out there too. So now we might see De Oliveira, we might see Koko off the bench when it comes to free kicks and corners too.
And I just think moving centrally is a much better move for Sydney United, for Carlos De Oliveira. Sometimes being out wide in these games against A-League oppositions, you don't get a lot of ball.
Here's a chance for the Mariners. Good strength from Laval. And the finish is unerring. And the Central Coast, with their first attack of the second half, have struck. And it's Ollie Laval who is finding the bottom corner. The Mariners fans who've made the trip are loving it. Central Coast 1, lead Sydney United 0.
That's a really strong finish from Ollie Laval. And that's what your big number 9 does. He sits and he waits. And they go route 1 yet again. The Central Coast Mariners, they do win the second ball this time and the third. And they play just straight through the middle. Ollie Laval absolutely smashes it home, getting past Pavlicic at that near post, but it's just a little run through the middle. And they wanted it more there. Ollie Duval wanted it more there. And he's been waiting for those sorts of opportunities. There hasn't been a lot to write home about. With the Mariners fans, they're in good spirits. They're 1-0 up.
Well, he was one of the players left without a club upon the hibernation of Western United. He rebuilt his reputation playing for South Melbourne in the Australian Championship. The Mariners came knocking as a result, and his second half of the season with them resulted in being retained for the current campaign. And here he is leading the line in the Australia Cup with success. Really is another success story for the NPL system and also the Australian Championship, Ollie Laval, because without that level to fall back to, there's no guarantee he would be here in the A-League level right now.
No, absolutely not. And, you know, just the quality of service to him. You know, there was that great opportunity in the first half where he fluffed his lines. There was a cross from Moragas as well. There was a couple of half chances for him there, but that was the first clear-cut one. 1-on-1, go forward, you've got to score. That's going to do his confidence a world of good. That's a great finish.
How does it change the Mariners' approach to the game? Do they look for more? Is there any thoughts of John Hutchinson with a team that might have a fitness fade to sit back on this lead?
Well, make no mistake about it, the Central Coast Mariners are not in control of this game. Sydney United are, and the longer that goes on, they need to try and find that space again and play it through the middle or play it out wide. But that intensity was lacking until that moment for the goal, so they've got to try and continue to match that intensity.
Brandman with the foul here on Jennings. Home fans just starting to get a little bit more restless with their team behind. Sydney United have been eliminated at the round of 32 stage, would you believe, just once in their history. They've been to the national rounds 9 times in 12 years. They've only missed out on getting this far on 3 occasions through New South Wales qualifying. And ironically, it was a New South Wales team, Blacktown City, who were the only team to knock them out in the round of 32. And that was all the way back in 2016. So when they make the Australia Cup, they normally get at least 1 win. But tonight, that is under threat. Bailey Rule immediately, well, going about the response, but not in a way that'll help there. Moragas hurtling through a gauntlet, and he was fouled. An easy decision for the referee.
The games here out at Denton Park have always got that little question mark over how do they handle themselves once they go 1-0 down. Does it quieten down the crowd?
Well, I mean, I've been here.
Or does it make it go louder?
Admittedly, with smaller crowds, I've been here for home losses, both 1-0 to Wollongong Wolves and also the Sutherland Sharks this season, where, to be fair, Sydney United created a heap of chances and just couldn't score. Tonight, a different story. The chances have been few and far between, and they're going to need to be clinical when they present.
And you've got to give credit where it's due as well. But for John Hutchinson to, you know, try and come out of this contest with a clean sheet would be an amazing first step.
Well, corner kick will provide a stern test to that clean sheet. Andrew Redmayne claps his gloves together to get his defence listening to his voice here as he organises. And Mason Wells, the left footer, will take as we have another look at how the corner was won. Wells, low, and Nakano couldn't flick it on. Back to Coco, and extracted away by Ali Orgla. Can they find a way back in here? Cleared off the near post. Down the left touch line. Brantman not able to escape. De Oliveira. McGing. Shallow pass from Jennings. Brandman. Jennings chasing him here, but composed play. 1-2 with Steele. Now Moragas. And you see the grab of the shirt there. It wasn't subtle from Steele, but play continues. Now the whistle goes. Sydney United will take the free kick.
Yeah, another great example of Dylan Rose just under pressure, handling the challenge from Steele. And sometimes when you're 1-0 down, the tendency is to go forward really quickly and try and retaliate and get yourself that next goal. But another side of it is actually being composed and building something up and going through the pattern of play, which has got you success throughout the season. They can't stray away from that and just lose their heads.
Vlastelica. Farakoko. Can the sub make an impact here? Nakano, bit of a loose touch. De Oliveira. Nakano back in. Julian Chop had a shot high earlier in the half. Bailey Rule. And now Jennings. And possession intercepted and taken away. Well played by Donnell. He has been important in midfield for the Mariners tonight. The former under-20 international, former Glory player who spent time at Fulham. Here he is on the ball now. It almost sets up the game perfectly. Rare that we say the A-League team taking the lead in a Australia Cup tie sets up matters perfectly, but I think we're going to learn a lot about the Mariners in these final 25 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's a great point you make there, absolutely. That's what the coach wants to see as well. John Hutchinson, they've done their job so far at weathering that storm, playing away from home, not fit yet, all the excuses you want in the world, but this is the reality. You're playing for an A-League club, you're being paid professional wages to be full-time. You have no time to make excuses about being in week 3 of pre-season, coming up against a really good side in Sydney United. It's getting tougher. It's getting tougher year on year. Is that because more players are dropping down from the A-League? Is it because more youngsters are coming through, quality youngsters coming through? The gap is becoming, closer each and every Australia Cup we talk about.
Flick at it from Laval here, but no one advancing onto the ball. Pavlicic can collect. So the two centre forwards for Sydney FC, Chementi and Krislovic, remain on the bench. Tomislav Ozanic has been a young central midfielder if they need fresh legs. Here's Chop taking possession now. Michael Glasic, a veteran midfielder who can play centre-back as well, as Coco gives the ball away. And Gabriel Tillo, who's a wide player, can play wing or fullback. He's been a live wire at times and also in a recent young Socceroos under-20 squad. So we see Jennings with a free kick here, and it's right on the shooting range limit, you'd say, maybe too far for an attempt on goal, but it is a promising set-piece opportunity.
Noel McCann just stepping out there, and there was a little bit of space in behind. That's what Carlos de Oliveira was looking for, trying to thread somebody in. Mason Wells was there, Jennings was there as well, and he's picked up that foul right in probably you'd say it's too far away to shoot this position, but never say never.
Well, they're going to only leave one player at the closest legal distance, so a one-man wall. Andrew Redmayne happy to just look across his defensive line instead. Carlos de Oliveira stands solo over the free kick. He goes for power. Redmayne parries, and he parries with enough strength to get it away from any of the oncoming attackers, and Brantman clears. Chop caught in possession by Donnell. Can the Mariners go? They nearly had Arthur De Lima away, and instead it's a free kick the other way. Good hustle by de Oliveira. Temper starting to fray, and they're not going to be able to take this free kick quickly here, Sydney United, which will simply add to the agitation.
Well, it's only agitation caused by Sydney United. The referee doing the right thing, stopping the game, taking the sting out of it, but they want to use that sting.
Here's Wells. Bailey Rule. Mariners covering defenders, making it difficult for Wells. Really good by Moragas. Able to win the ball, and he's knocked over here by McGing, and he'll do well to avoid the first card of the game. Here it is, yellow out of the pocket for Liam McGing, and he becomes the first player booked.
Not much of a choice. We're going to see a lot of this in the last 20 minutes or so. And this could be a sore one for Lucas Moraga stepping forward, and the counter-attack option is going to become more available for them. United are trying to push for that equaliser, but it doesn't look good for Lucas Moragas is still down on the turf in a little bit of pain.
This is a concern for Central Coast. Of course, he made the switch that very few dare to do, going from the Jets to the Mariners season before last. But the trainer seems to have reassured him here. Now, it was a yellow card, so he doesn't have to leave the game. Trainer would do well to get off the pitch. It's 12 versus 11 for a brief second there. We're back underway. Redmayne switching out to the right. De Lima looking for the goal scorer in Laval. Cleared from him. Chop. Out steps Rue. And now Steele. And the pass all the way back to Redmayne. Harry Steele. And from a standing start, McCann over to Murakoi. Ball which is headed away by Vlastelica. Chop. Farakoko. Trying to outpace Rue, but Storm Rue deflected it into his shins and out.
It's one thing they've done really well tonight, the Mariners. They've stifled Sydney United's play in that wide area. They haven't allowed them to get in beyond the fullback too much in this second half. And when they are under pressure, as they are here now, it's going long and it's missing the midfield completely.
Chop rising to the header, but Coco can't make ground to keep the ball in. Ticked into the last 20 minutes here. What sort of late surge do Sydney United have in them? Is it going to be on the back of youngster Tomislav Ozanic, who's coming on here, 18 years old? And he comes on for Julian Chop, so one young midfielder for another. And Ozanic is very much a like-for-like substitution here.
Number 2, Julian Chop, to replace by number 35, Tomislav Ozanic.
I love him here. Made his debut against Blacktown last season, if I remember correctly, and spent most of his time in the Next United Academy. It's really one of those come through the system type players is Ozanic, and I think in terms of playing in that midfield, he's been playing quite regularly there.
Moragas maybe giving a little bit back here, and he's not pleased. Leroy Jennings, the player he fouled. Moragas, maybe the blood's still running hot from the challenge he suffered only minutes earlier.
Well, one thing I will say about the difference in level between part-time football and full-time football is the control of the emotions. And when you become a professional, you realise the moments in which you can explode and which moments you have to settle yourself down. And we've seen it time and time again. And for Sydney United right now, they've got to try and keep their heads. Yes, they've got to try and unsettle the Mariners.
Offside here.
But they've got to be careful in which the way that they are doing it. And it's no good wasting time because time is not on their side.
Good header by McCann. He's able to clear a very long restart of play, but now a throw in. This United's attempt to find a way forward. Down in the right flank. Get themselves another opportunity here.
We have seen De Oliveira in these positions this campaign, and he's going to take the free kick, which I think maybe Sydney United needed him a little bit earlier in the piece. Wada was on there before, now it's Carlos De Oliveira.
Can he find a teammate, Can they create chaos in the penalty area? As we tick down to 15 minutes of regulation time remaining. Miriam Vlastelica wandering to within earshot of De Oliveira as the free kick hits the head of Jennings and slides across the face agonisingly. It was a good delivery, but it wasn't met with a finish.
Well, he's got a lot of sporting talent in his blood as well, Jennings. And you don't get many opportunities like that against the Central Coast Mariners. What a ball in. It's been crying out for that from Sydney United. Just maybe a little bit too high for Jennings. There's a free header in the end and a chance. It's gone missing.
McCann, a long left-footed ball. Vlastelica heads down to the second ball, Laval. And he stuck a rugby-style tackle on Vlastelica, for which advantage is given. Bouncing ball needs to be dealt with. Murakoi taking on De Oliveira. And the ball finds its way out. Sydney United with the throw.
Well, here they come, Teo. You hear the crowd now. This is the moment for them to get back in the game.
Nakano. De Oliveira. Looks up at De Lima. Plays it to Nakano. His path blocked. Ozanic takes possession amid appeals for a free kick, but the whistle's gone away. Bailey Rule over on the right. Touched back inside for Jennings. Jennings with a burst of speed, but Moraga stuck to him and concedes a corner kick.
There's a little bit of pressure now. This is the pressure that Sydney United are able to build when they get themselves down the line to try and get behind the fullback, Moragas. It's no easy task getting past him.
Mason Wells has taken all of these corner kicks from the right side. They've all been varieties of in-swingers. And this one is no exception. To the near post, cleared away from McGing. McCann has impressed to this point of the night. The clean sheet well and truly intact. And a free kick here will ease the strain on the Mariners.
It's great work. It's a good indication of where the team is at the moment. Agla getting back, helping out the defensive half of the team. It's a really good sign.
Mariners go backwards from the free kick though. Redmayne, Donnell. A slide challenge. Well, Ozanic nearly picking the pocket, but the ball runs out. See Sydney United trying to trap the Mariners in. The fans are getting rowdy here, trying to lift the home side. Rose. Nakano, it's Koya Nakano, blocked away. De Lima made ground in time. An excellent block, and then he wins the follow-up header, and he just stifles once again. Sydney, whoa, was that an arm out from Vlastelica? Nothing illegal about it. All the way back to his keeper, Pavlicic. Over the head of Wells, but De Oliveira brings it down on the chest. Ozanic just needed a little more shape out to the wing for Coco.
Yeah, it was close. That's how close they're getting at the moment. It was great work from Agla, getting forward and pressing, but not winning that first ball. Just gave an opportunity for Mason Wells, who's still through the middle, playing centrally tonight. There's still no movement on the bench from Sydney United to perhaps bring someone else on in that position and move Mason out wide where he's a little bit more effective.
Clumsy foul there from Farakoko. And the Mariners are going to make a double change here. Jesse Mantell in the number 45 shirt is going to be coming on. And it's a first team debut for the 17-year-old striker from Melbourne, Luke Bekvanovsky, who is coming on as well. Bailey Brantman leaves the game on the side of the benches. And walking around the outer side, it looks as though it's Arthur De Lima. So that's the double change here. But Luke Bekvanovsky's come from the Melbourne City NPL team, 17 years old. And he's the son of a gun, the all-time top scorer in the old Victorian Premier League. Sash Bekvanovsky, his father, would be proud as punch of his young son, who's followed him in his footsteps as a striker for the Mariners. And who knows how much we'll get to see him this season, but it is typical of the Mariners' recruitment policy so far this season to go and swoop up many of the best youngsters around the country and give them exposure to first-team football. As at the other end, we're going to see a booking here for the Central Coast. Stormroo's in the book, and Ozanic has won a set piece in shooting range.
That's what this game needs. Ozanic does so well to put his body in the way and expect the contact and just allow Stormroo to run into him. He probably wasn't going to beat him for pace, but he understood the mission. Bring it down, get myself and my side this free kick.
So an acute angle, but it didn't stop Tomokiwada having a go in the first half. He's not out there anymore, so it's Carlos de Oliveira's turn. We've ticked into the final 10 minutes of regulation. The Mariners holding on to what would be a hard-earned clean sheet if they get there. Here's de Oliveira, a drifter. Vlastelica the first header, and then cleared away. Laval in the perfect position. Bailey Rule runs to the wing, and off the near post, a half volley from McCann. Rule has possession again. Numbers stay forward for Sydney United. And now things dissipate. A throw in. And a long throw attempted. McGing had stayed forward, a pile up of bodies. And as it's blocked out by Wells for a goal kick, the Mariners stand tall. And McGing stays down.
They're looking for everything at the moment, and why wouldn't you? There's a bit of a scramble inside the box there. They've been peppering the Mariners box, that long throw coming in. But there's definitely a push in the back, and a couple of City United players went down, and McGing got contact to the back of his head. The referee didn't see much in there, but I just feel like they've had those opportunities to get the ball in tonight. They haven't had the quality at the end. They haven't made good contact. They haven't hit the target. They haven't forced a save out of Andrew Redmayne. And that's down to good defending from the Mariners as well.
They have certainly withstood the challenges to this late stage of the game, but the job is not yet done. The second goal would certainly help if the Mariners can feed a bit more of the ball to their young strike force. Here comes a change for Sydney United, and it is Michael Krislovic, the towering centre forward, who's coming on. 12 goals in all competitions this season, and it's for McGing. So centre back off, centre forward on. That is a clear indicator of the plans going from here.
It doesn't get much more straightforward than that. That's the time of the day or the evening. They've got to go for this. They've got to try and be a little bit more direct, and it allows players to play off him as well.
So they've gone to a back three with Vlastelica the sole centre back between Koya Nakano and Bailey Rule. Nakano immediately stuck in a 1-on-2, but the offside flag will come to his aid. It does appear as though for now Mason Wells is staying in a central position with Farakoko still on the left and Leroy Jennings still on the right. Pavlicic takes the restart. Krislovic the target, but he's not able to win that header there as the Mariners repel. Mantell, Bailey Rule over to Jennings. He's got some space here. Jennings, oh, it's bending well wide. Maybe got a bit excited. A little bit of time and space, but an opportunity lost.
I think City United have definitely looked at this side and thought, getting past Moragas, getting past Stormroo, that's going to be difficult. But they actually thought, we'll play through the middle and try and get past McCann and Mutakoyi, and they've been absolutely outstanding in the middle of defence, winning things, clearing things, and marshalling the troops in this, what is a new look front back line, particularly in the middle there. So that partnership has really blossomed as the game's gone on.
So the restart from Redmayne. Up for the header is Ozanic. Wells. Mantell came crashing through. And it's a Mariners free kick to Jesse Mantell. Mariners are hardly battening down the hatches here. Yes, they're managing the clock, but they've still got quite an attacking formation out there.
It's just about getting through, Taya. I think, at this stage of pre-season, and, do you want to play a competitive match in a week or two's time, or sit through the long pre-season of the A-League? And it's not done yet.
Long, quickly taken free kick here. Redmayne's got to go with his head. A step outside the penalty area. Mantell, Coco throwing themselves at the ball. And Mantell has found Coco here. And you can hear the howls of disapproval from the home fans. And it's a yellow card for the young substitute and a free kick in a wide position.
Well, is this a dangerous enough position to put something tasty inside the box? Mantell getting away and clearly fouling Coco on the edge of the sideline there, right in front of the supporters. He would have copped a few pelters walking back, but this is the chance. This is the moment for Sydney United to take advantage of something inside the box.
First set piece since Krizlovic came on. One extra tall target to aim for. But it's on the boot of Carlos de Oliveira. We saw him put a great ball into the box about 10 minutes ago. Wasn't met truly by Jennings. Can he give one of his teammates a second chance? Oh, the free kick hits the one-man wall. Coco trying to keep the attack going. Bailey Rule looks up at a wall of defenders. Ozanic breaks to the wing. And now Jennings! Over the bar. It just kept rising. He pleads there was a deflection, but no.
How much pressure are they going to apply to this Mariners backline, and they're not finding a way through for whatever reason? Great feat again from Ozanic getting forward, the substitute, and it just popped out for Jennings. He could not keep this down. He's calling for a deflection off Mantell, and possibly it did.
The clock is becoming Central Coast's friend. Every time the ball goes dead, Sydney United have got to execute if they want to take this game to extra time. Wells, overhead kick of sorts from McCann. That was spectacular. And a deflection out here for a Central Coast throw, and they will drop anchor and go to walking pace despite the encouragement of the home team ball kids. Here's the long throw down the line. Nakano. Krasnolitsa. It's going to be an awkward back pass for Pavlicic, but he wheels onto his left foot. Now the header back into the box, but players give themselves up offside. And a roundhouse kick to clear. Jennings. A ball for Wells. He goes to ground. Wells drew the foul. And the home fans are in raptures.
That's that man again. Leroy Jennings just shaped that ball into the box. It was a lovely run forward from Mason Wells. Playing centrally, getting an opportunity. I don't think he was going to make the ball before Redmayne did, but he did so well to get across his defender. They've got a real chance now to equalise just before full time.
What a time for the first blemish in Noah McCann's game tonight. He's given away a penalty kick. Carlos de Oliveira has been one of the designated penalty takers this season, but Andrew Redmayne, we know what he's capable of in a penalty shootout. Think back to 2023 when he scored the winning penalty in a shootout. And that was when he was with Sydney FC. Sorry to bring it up, Mariners fans, because it was against the Central Coast. But he can be their hero here, should he save.
He's got a special drink bottle at the moment. I'm not sure if he's reading off it or he's just having a sip of water.
I think the only instruction there is get in the opponent's head. So de Oliveira won't take. He's handed the ball to Michael Krizlovic. Or is this Sydney United's own strategy? No, it looks like Krizlovic is the man. We've ticked into the last minute of the 90. And Redmayne comes walking out to the edge of the 6-yard box. It's not just every trick in the book, he is the book. And Krislovic is trying to shut it all out. He takes a deliberate step back in his run-up. This is it. A last-minute penalty for Sydney United. Andrew Redmayne prowls around the penalty box. Along the line he goes. Here's Krislovic. Moment of truth. Sydney United a level. And the magic of the cup at Adenza Park has appeared late in the night. It's 1-1.
There was no way, shape or form that Krislovic was going to miss from the penalty spots. Andrew Redmayne trying absolutely everything to put him off, the substitute, but he just knows how to hit a ball inside the box. You do not hit a penalty any sweeter than that. Side-footed right into the post, into the side netting. And look at the fans. They've been waiting for a goal. They've got themselves a goal. This is on.
Well, with emotions running high, can they surge forward and try to win it without the need for extra time? We saw Preston Lions come from the clouds last night. And we're going to have something similar in 5 additional minutes, of which almost one has ticked by.
They have not given up, Sydney United. They were pushing and they were not just lumping that ball forward. They were trying to find that little pocket of space. And what a pass that was from Leroy Jennings.
Well, who would have known that Jennings would author a late twist, Eric? There you go.
Nice one.
I think you need to be outraged to get that one. But here's Nakano now, and he's going to watch it over the line. John Hutchinson, what's going through his head about minutes in the legs? We talked about who's pushing themselves into the red on this first game of the season for the Mariners, while a match-hardened Sydney United, they went to extra time against Sydney Olympic in their Cup semi-final on the way to winning the Waratah Cup. And would you believe, after a 2-all through 90 minutes that night at Belmore, they scored 3 in extra time to win 5-2. So they've been here only recently.
It's in their DNA, and the crowd wanted to see more.
Here's a deflection. Wells, it'll run down to Redmayne. These last 3 minutes will be hair-raising stuff potentially for the Mariners here. All it takes is one moment of quality, and they can leave without the need for extra time, though. Moragas and Jennings. No love lost between those two, and yet another free kick paid. If they get this right here, Central Coast, they can take the air out of this venue and leave winners. It's a wide free kick opportunity to win it again at the end of the night. High ball from McCann, looking to make amends. The initial header is Central Coast's, and then cleared away. Coco, and now nodded on by Wells. Krislovic, he just waited for the ball. Mutakoi didn't. Proactive defending from the youngster.
Oh, that was really on there. If Coco just lifted that pass, they had runners forward, Sydney United. But that was the Mariners trying to win the game in the last moments. It's probably going to go to extra time now, so it's all about who can get through the next half an hour.
One of the rare venues, Sydney United, where they just let the clock run so you can see, all of the players can see how long to go. We've ticked over 3 additional minutes. There's 2 left. And you can see there's a step up from the Mariners here. Mantell, Bekvanovsky. A good chain of passes. Steele, it comes unstuck. Rule to Jennings. An early ball. Krislovic has got Coco on his bike in the middle. But he's got the adrenaline pumping here. Krislovic, he gets some separation to win it! He was nearly a cup hero for the ages. And it goes agonisingly wide.
How about the afterburners there from the big man? It was a great first touch into space. And he knew he had the energy. Did he have the finish? He did not. Redmayne, right there, standing tall.
What a gallop. Forget NPL, he'd be at Rosehill on Saturday if he scored there. Incredible from Krislovic, but the adrenaline's pumping at the end of the night, and we're into the last minute of the 5.
He could have won it right there. His coach knows. But how good has City United been in this second half to get themselves back into the game? And it's the way and the manner in which they've got themselves back into this game and got the crowd right behind them.
A long throw. It's going to be headed initially by Central Coast and then sliced away. Laval, the Mariners' goal scorer. He's a lone hand up top, but what a lone hand. He's holding the ball up here. Azanic comes over with a full-blooded swing. And Laval had already gone down with a knock to the ankle, and this might take us beyond the allocated 5 minutes.
The Mariners need Ollie Laval to get up, because potentially this game doesn't just go to extra time, it goes to penalties, so you need your best penalty takers on the pitch. That's something that Hutchinson has to think about now. Yes, save some of these plays in terms of getting into that red zone and not being able to continue, but it's about who can step up.
So we're beyond the allocated 5. Redmayne, steal. Turns and sees 2 opponents, but it deflects through to Mantell. Moragas. Look at the burst here from Lucas Moragas. Oh, and he's gone barreling through Dylan Rose, who stood his ground. And now Krislovic, can he do it again? We've already seen one great gallop, but the defence gets goal side here. Krislovic breaks wide, takes the attempt, and that was always working on an angle a bit too acute. And that is 90 minutes done. Don't go anywhere. We have extra time coming up here in the Hahn Australia Cup. Sydney United, they were heading out, but a 90th minute penalty earns them 30 more minutes. Sydney United 58-1, Central Coast Mariners 1.
59th minute goal scored by Oliver Laval. Going forward, Sydney United in the 90th minute, scored by Michael Krislovic. We now go into 15 minutes of extra time each way, so 15 minutes and 30 minutes in total of extra time. And if it's still equal after full time of extra time, then we will go into penalties. Let's go United. Progress scores from other grounds. MacArthur 2 lead Azuri Unitedville. Western Sydney 2 have beaten Tigers FC 0. And Fremantle City 2 have defeated Maitland 1. All other games are full time. Here we're going into extra time, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, City United!
So kick off at the start of extra time. 1-1 after 90 minutes. A 90th minute penalty equaliser from Michael Krislovic. And this game is anyone's now. Eric Partaloo, how much do the Mariners have in the legs? And can Sydney United ride their home fans in a wave of emotion to another cup set?
Well, Glasic's just come off the bench there for Jennings. So that's maybe a bit of fatigue for Leroy Jennings, who really got Sydney United back into the game. I wonder what their approach is from both coaches, because, you know, they want to try and get this game done and dusted, but you've still got to play the half an hour.
Well, the last minutes of extra time, of stoppage time at the end of the 90, the Mariners sparked a bit back to life when they knew that they had to go and score another goal. So there's enough evidence there that they can perhaps take the game on a little bit as well, especially with some of the fresh legs now out on the pitch. Speaking of which, they've made a change. And it's at centre back. Callum McCaskey has come on in extra time here in the number 55 shirt. So a great opportunity for the 17-year-old. How about the responsibility of that, Eric, coming on in this environment?
Yeah, that's what the league is now. That's what is Australian football at the moment. Lots of these young, talented players coming in, and these are the sorts of nights that you find out whether or not you can play in that professional environment. And I'll tell you what, there's not many more pressure cooker environments than playing here at Sydney United.
To put McCaskey in context, on the 2nd of June, stay with this long ball here, as McCaskey is going to try to untangle things and clear away. He wasn't playing League One NPL for the Mariners. He wasn't playing for their under-20s. He was playing for their under-18s, their third grade team, Eric. So they have thrown a youngster in to see what he can do.
No better time.
Long ball here. Storm Roo at the other end of the experience scale. He will be important. McCann, the header down. Mason Wells has a ping. And Andrew Redmayne makes a good save. And even though it was largely organisational rather than keeping for most of the 90 for Redmayne, he's still sharp.
It's not very often you see Andrew Redmayne being forced into a save at full stretch. That's a really solid effort. Going away, that left foot of Mason Wells, that was dipping in the corner.
And he'll take the resulting corner here. Looping in swinger. No one at the back post though for Sydney United. A missed opportunity and it's out. 3 minutes of extra time ticked by. We had penalties at Perry Park in Brisbane last night as Lions FC eliminated the Perth Glory. We've seen Wanderers get through away in Canberra today with a 2-0 win against Tigers. We've seen Fremantle City come from the clouds with 2 late goals to win against Maitland. So Western Australia still has their last team standing in the round of 16. Lucas Moragas will be happy to see the back of Leroy Jennings, but now he's got Mason Wells to contend with, and the physicality continues as he's legged.
Well, he's some athlete, Lucas Moragas. Some players you expect to maybe ease their way into a pre-season or a first competitive hit out. He looks exactly the same as what he was at the end of the A-League season. Fit as a fiddle.
There's 2 balls on the pitch here, and they're going to hit each other.
That never happens.
Well,
should have dropped the ball.
They've potted the blue. And a drop ball here will restart play. Really not sure. It must have been a ball being returned from over the pitch there that just came rolling on. Anyway, all's well that ends well. And sliced away by McCaskey. Oh, not out. The ball stayed in right on the line. Orgler did well. Mantell. And he has to slide back in as Azanic is able to win the ball away. Coco. Crossfield switch, just a slow-moving pass in the end, and that allowed the ball to be nicked away by Bekvanovsky. Redmayne, a more decisive clearance. Laval. He seems to have shaken off that ankle knock right at the end of the 90. Coco. Running here at Storm Roo. Mantell. To Steele. Steele with a neat diagonal. Moragas. Now a long ball which is well over the head of Laval. Nakano. Got to be careful here with Orgler in the vicinity, and a hurried clearance is intercepted by Donnell. Chris Donnell. Ali Orgler goes to work, breaks right. He evades Nakano, and the cross, well, it's all Sydney United at the fall. No one attacking the ball for Central Coast.
And that's the problem for the Mariners again. I think Ollie Laval was wrestling moments ago to try and win the ball in an area, but that's the bread and butter. And when you've got Ali Agler producing moments like that and putting balls inside the 6-yard box unchallenged, something has to be done about that for the Mariners. They've got to try and find somebody to run at that near post.
McCann. And a high clearance from Michael Glassick. It's going to pitch and, again, linger on the line right in front of a packed outer hill. Oh, Nakano rose above Orgler. Didn't make enough impact on the ball. Mantell creating a contest, but coming away to prevail is Vlastelica. And he goes searching for Krislovic. And McCann held his nerve and ushered it back to Redmayne.
How good was that ball forward? Both teams opting for that long ball over the top, looking for their strikers. McCann, again, just doing so well at covering tonight in his new team. Not easy to build that relationship, especially when you're running towards your goalkeeper. That's a tough one.
McCaskey to Mantell. Orgler. Promising build-up. Donnell back to Mantell. He's really making a difference here. Donnell, one more pass is what was needed, and Bailey Rule had to make that interception. Otherwise, it would have been Bekvanovsky through on goal. Now Rule back pass to Glassick. He lifts it away. McCann wins the header.
He's there again. He's there again. Been there everywhere for the Mariners tonight.
Ball there to be won in midfield. Orgler. Was it a handball by Rose? Was it a foul on Mantell by Rose? Eventually the whistle sounds. This is in Sydney United's favour, so Mantell not able to convince the referee. Farakoko cuts in onto his right. And a bit of a wasted ball.
Good coverage though, again from Agler. That's something different that we're seeing from him, getting back and helping with Storm Roo's responsibilities at right back. In that wide area now, Taylor, that's probably where they're trying to aim to get the play. Is get Ali Agler on the ball, allow him to try and isolate somebody out wide.
Moragas still full of running. Bekvanovsky rolls away. And the cross is straight onto the head of Glassick. Shove a bit too energetic from Donnell, and the free kick given. Jesse Mantell's been really lively since coming on. The fresh legs that the Mariners need.
You can't say this game hasn't been competitive. It really has been. And it's been played in the right spirit, right on that line of red mist at times, but it's been great to see. There's not been a real lot of quality in that final third, but defensively, they've stuck to their guns, they've stuck to their assignment.
De Oliveira chests it down. Wells back to De Oliveira. He's got Coco. Farah Coco. Oh, blocked immediately. And De Oliveira with the follow-up. McCaskey makes the clearance. Ozanic, well, he loses out here to Bekvanovsky. And Mantell not on the same wavelength as Laval. That one will find its way out for a throw-in. Rule a long way off the pitch, but Mantell able to keep the ball under pressure. Donnell back to Roux. Mariners happy to just jog the ball up the pitch. Quartet of players. They engage the midfield of Sydney United, and Mantell and Steele are able to play through it. Moragas against Rule. Ducking, weaving, looking for avenues to attack. And a deflected pass. Classic in the right spot once again. McCaskey with a great leap to the header, but Ozanic brings the ball down, and then, even though Krislovic has been capable of chasing a few long balls down, that one was an unretrievable one.
Yeah, I think from Sydney United's point of view, Taylor, that's exactly what they should be looking to achieve, is just get the ball to Krislovic and let him go and run and fight and use that energy that he's got going forward, because every time he's gone one-on-one, he's been really exciting, and he's put the Mariners right on the back foot.
Mariners probably had a decent claim to a handball there, but the referee might have been unsighted compared to our cameras looking at it from the other angle. Central Coast have circulated the ball over one side to the other. Moragas. He looks likely to make something happen here. A low drive, and Pavlicic right behind it. A shot on target.
That's the right option from Moragas, because when he runs inside, it's very difficult for players to make an angle for him. They can't go deep because they'll be in an offside position, and they can't just stand there. They've got to try and make a little bit of room for him to come in and get that shot away. So they need more of him to do that.
Donnell. McCann and Moragas. See the red shirts trying to lay a trap here. Moragas backing his close control. Rose eventually wins it away from him though. Now added to open space. Koya Nakano seeing the chance to get forward. His delivery hasn't always been spot on tonight, so he defers back to Rose. And now Glassick. Bailey Rule. Mason Wells. He's got two opponents trailing him here, and he's able to win a corner with a flying attempt at a cross.
Yeah, that's really well done. Again, from one side to the other and back the other side. It's been a hallmark of this Sydney United performance tonight. Dylan Rose getting on the ball, spraying it left to right. Coco getting involved, and on the other side it's Mason Wells. So they're now creating this little bit of width for themselves and getting these sorts of opportunities now.
Into the 15th and last minute of the first half of extra time. It's gone by quickly. Mason Wells, another in-swinging corner. Oh, and this time Ozanic was at the back post. They had someone there and it was knotted away from him. They learnt from the corner earlier in this first half of extra time. And the result is a throw-in. Krislovic back to goal with it all to do, and it's nicked off his toes by Roux. Mantell. Laval dragged a long way up the pitch, the centre forward, but he's able to turn and burn. Laval, and he's well overhit that attempted through pass to Bekvanovsky. Will we even have stoppage at the end of this first half of extra time? Fourth official lingering at the sideline. We will not. Change of ends. And no change to the score after 90 minutes. So at Sydney United Sports Centre, we turn for the last 15 minutes of open field play. Will we need penalties to determine it? Half-time and extra time. And it remains Sydney United 1, Central Coast Mariners 1. So both teams go into their huddles. We were actually speculating at the end of the 90, Eric, about if there's a mandated amount of time that the teams can take, or if it's just vibe and feel, but they sized up plenty at the end of the 90, and the referee's not exactly hustling them back out there to kick off the second half of extra time either.
Well, it depends on how long the lights are going to be on for tonight, because this is a sort of game that could be played for 3 or 4 hours and still may not have a winner. So odds are this game is going to go to penalties. I think they've sort of cancelled each other out. Both teams have played well in patches, but just haven't had that killer instinct in front of goal.
Sydney United do have happy penalty memories here at Adenza Park. In the 2022 round of 16, they beat Western United 4-3 on penalty kicks. That's when they had Daniel Nizic in goal. And in 2024, during qualifying, they had an epic penalty shootout, more than 20 kicks total against Sydney Olympic here during the qualifying rounds. And that year they would ultimately not make the national rounds. One of the rare occasions they haven't gone all the way, but they do have some happy penalty shootout memories right here at this venue. But we've got 15 more minutes of football to try and sort out if we need spot kicks to determine things. Do you have an inkling as to who might be the more likely, given the Mariners have had a second wind here in extra time?
Oh, look, I've got no idea whatsoever if it goes to spot kicks. I don't think anybody does. It's just a little bit of quality and a concentration, a little bit of luck as well. But I think, you could just see John Hutchinson's body language there with his team. He was still asking them to go and press. He was clapping his hands and urging them on to keep pushing. So that's a sign that the Mariners are not done here and they want to get this done before penalties.
There's been a substitution with Australia under-20 international Gabriel Tillo coming on, and he's replaced Bailey Rule. I've got to say, a great 105 minutes from Bailey Rule.
Certainly was, up and down that right-hand side, and he's a really important part of this team. And let's see what happens now with Tillo on the pitch. A little bit more creativity.
Having gone to a back three as they chased the game, was a return to the back four when Glassick came on at the start of extra time, and no change to that formation here in extras. So action kicks back off. Will we get one more goal to win it on the night, or will we go to penalty kicks in the Australia Cup? Bekvanovsky. The back pass here invited Krislovic on. Coco traps the ball and feeds it back to Krislovic. De Oliveira getting forward. Coco coming through, and that's an excellent slide challenge from Storm Roux. He got the ball and he saved the day there.
Yeah, that was really important. At this stage of the game, stretching for those sorts of things can be dangerous. You just see the line that they're trying to tread now. The Central Coast Mariners, they've got tired legs, they've got tired bodies. And it's important that they keep their shape and their distances between each other as well.
Moragas, he hasn't stopped running. It's been an increasingly impressive showing from him. Mantell. And that pass from Steele. Well, Moragas not able to make a play at it. And Tillo's first involvement off the bench is to see that out.
Good to see Tillo get some time. Caught up to the under-20 young Socceroos this year as well. Just returned to action recently, and look, he's a young prodigy that's set for bigger things, isn't he? And this is his real realm of possibility, and getting it right again in this competition, and there's a big future ahead of him. Can he live up to the name?
Well, he had a stunning first half of the season, as did Sydney United, and then the midwinter grind, they had lost their way a little bit, but they're still within 4 points of top of the league. Tillo's going to be tested right here against Bekvanovsky, a couple of young guns going head-to-head. Bekvanovsky gets a cross in. Mantell, he sends the pass to Orgler, and Orgler just ran into a bit of a trap there as Mason Wells clears away. Hustle from Moragas to keep the ball live. Bekvanovsky, confident on the ball. Lays it sideways over to Donnell, and now Rue. Steele, Mantell, it's Jesse Mantell, and his path is blocked by Tillo. He stepped in and won the ball, and Krizlovic is a lone hand. Can he take it and run though? He's got the better of McCaskey. Here's Krizlovic, he steadies, and Redmayne saves. Andrew Redmayne stands tall and keeps the score at 1-1.
Well, it was almost as if McCann got just enough behind him that didn't allow the big long lever to let loose. But Krizlovic again got himself into that position. He couldn't pull the trigger hard enough to beat Andrew Redmayne. It's straight at the goalkeeper, but that's the avenue for Sydney United, straight through the guts.
And their reward is a corner, but they've had so many. The Mariners have become increasingly adept at defending them. And the referee's just going to hold things up here. Actually wants to do the talking too, so the anticipation is only going to build. You can hear the shouting from the penalty area as defenders organise. And now the corner will be taken. It's sliced away on the volley. Rose. Tillo. Nakano. Wells lunged out, good control in the end. It was a tough pass to retrieve. Glassick, he's twisting and turning against Mantell, and the big man showing his skills against the diminutive opponent, snapping at his heels. Maybe pulling off a 1-2 was a little bit too much though. Moragas, his clearance interrupted. Wells whips it back to the edge of the box, and Orgler will clear away. It's a tumbling, bouncing ball for Laval. He brings it under his command and plays it to Mantell. And Orgler. Mantell continuing his run. He jags inside and outsteps Glassick. Now Rose clears long. Moragas. De Oliveira got across but couldn't stop the pass. McCann. His left foot this time is just down to the corner. Pavlicic, hoping for Coco. He's got to go here if he wants to keep it in. He won't be able to.
You've really got to tip your hat to both teams here for the intensity levels. Well, I can't remember a game going into the second half of extra time and there's still tackles crunching in. There's still legs trying to get out there and stretch to get to things. There's balls going forward. There's all sorts of things happening. The intensity from both of these sides has to be commended. It's been brilliant.
Neither team wants penalties. From the looks of it, they're both playing like they want to score. Neither team is settling for level terms and spot kicks, at least not yet. Here's Wells. He can shoot from distance, but he can't find his best there as he lifts it out.
Story of the game. Just that quality right at the end. They need something in that final third, both teams. Maybe this is it for Sydney United.
Well, Kyle Chimenti is making a late entrance here. He's coming on for Mason Wells. Chimenti, the centre forward, scored in the qualifying rounds, but only one of 3 goals he's scored this season. So he hasn't been as prolific as previous campaigns. A long-time staple of NPL New South Wales. And the Australia Cup too.
Would you have kept Mason on the pitch just for penalties? That's an interesting substitution to get him off if it does go that far.
It looks like that is pushing Carlos de Oliveira out to the right wing. So he's played all 3 attacking midfield positions tonight. Started on the left, went to the middle when Tomoki Wada came off. Now he appears to be on the right, but the ball is on the left. And it's with Krislovic. And on the overlap, Nakano still full of juice. But he's not able to find a teammate with the cutback.
Yeah, it's great pressure. I'm loving watching the Sydney United team operate. It's just lacking that final thing, we've talked about it, but just the endeavour to go and throw things at the Central Coast Mariners, to keep putting them under pressure. Something has to give at some point in time, eventually.
Long throw, not cleared decisively. It's going to sit up here for Tillo, blocked away. Huge from McCann, body on the line. And didn't require Redmayne to make a save because the defender got a huge block on. And now De Oliveira, he frees the feet. And he's shut down again immediately by Bekvanovsky. But Tillo shows his defensive instincts, wins the ball, a gliding cross. And Coco trying to keep it in hard against the line, but the line won.
Well, how sweet does Gabriel Tillo hit this one? And it just set up perfectly for him. Was not going to get across the line though. McCann again. Absolute magnet tonight for the Mariners.
Andrew Redmayne, of course, will back himself in a penalty shootout. He maybe is the one player that wants this game to go to penalties. Both teams are playing like they want one more goal. Redmayne using every second he can to steady. Ozanic up for the header. Coco. Beyond Chimenti, McCaskey. And Ozanic again. Now Rose's turn. Moragas. Ozanic. And here's De Oliveira. He's isolated one-on-one. He plays the early ball. Ozanic leaves it with Tillo. Gabriel Tillo trotting on the ball, but he keeps it at his feet. Ozanic with a cross. And at the top of the box, who's following in? Rose is there for Sydney United. And now it's cleared away once again. Moragas, he's gone through a power of work tonight. Laval being chased towards the line by Rose. There is no giving up in either of these teams. And look at Vlastelica. He comes in as an enforcer and just grabs Laval and throws him out of the way.
There's not much energy in those fights down there at the moment. And a little bit unnecessary because both teams, both players don't want to give this one up. Rose has been all over the pitch, all over the Mariners like a rash. And Laval wasn't giving up either. Neither is John Hutchinson.
Are we about to see cards administered? The Mariners bench are up in arms. Maybe this is just because they want to make a sub here. The tracksuit has come off Lawrence Taylor, another 18-year-old from their NPL ranks. I can tell you, Eric, that we're the last game standing because MacArthur have won 3-0 and some treatment being administered down at ground level. Yep. Bit of claret spilled. Hopefully it doesn't have to be accompanied by a change of shirt. Oh, was there more to the scuffle than initially met the eye?
Yeah, potentially. Well, that's how much they want it. This game has been so competitive. It's been great to watch.
Michael Glassick getting cleaned up here. Doesn't seem at all fazed by blood being spilled. Play restarts with the throw in. It is temporarily 11 versus 10 though. So Sydney United won't want to get stuck on the counter here with Glassick off. Now he's waved back on by the fourth official. And 11 versus 11 resumes. As Sydney United slowly crimp their way down the pitch. Ozanic rises to the header. A great leap there. But not able to make the most of it. Now Laval chases to the line, and Vlastelica, bit of a long memory. Well, not needing the longest memory after the scuffle a moment ago. Gave him a little nudge for his trouble.
That was a little bit naughty. Surprised the Mariners didn't make more of that, but It's great to see Ollie Laval in this sort of mood, Taya, in terms of getting forward and wanting to get the ball, wanting to chase into channels. The Mariners of the past have had great number 9s willing to chase in the channels.
Orgler against Tillo, and Tillo prevails, able to clear. Finds the safety of the touchline, and we're down to 3 minutes remaining in the second half of extra time. A goal now will win it. Penalties loom over the contest. Ozanic heads to his own advantage, but then the pass is held up and Coco is able to at least take possession of the ball. Ozanic, and now through the left, Nakano ran into a 1-on-3 and the numbers win out for Central Coast. Donnell doesn't want to hurry things up too much. He turns and steadies with Rue. Mantell goes back to the centre of defence. McCaskey and McCann. Redmayne. First time clearance. Will run out. A subdued minute as we draw closer to 120 being completed.
Yeah, I think everybody's now, this is the danger zone. You know, one goal here, it's all over. I think the neutral wants this to go to penalties because we've already got here. We've got the distance, and, you know, it's a snatch, really, if you go and score at this sort of time.
Ozanic. Rose, series of ricochets. Chimenti not able to affect play, and Mantell clears. Nakano. Coco in space here. He can motor. Farah Coco. Slides a through ball. Chimenti. And as players close in, well, it ends in a foul. That takes us into the last minute of the 120. Seems as though both teams have made peace with it. Maybe only a mistake will cause a goal from here rather than a moment of magic. Ali Orgler wants to look for the magic though. And he wins a free kick here. Maybe, just maybe, for the Central Coast.
Well, there's one player that has a little bit of magic in them still. It's Ali Orgler. Again, we asked this question before from the Sydney United point of view. Was it too far to have a strike? There's only one player on the ball here, Teo. And the way that he's placing that ball, it looks like it's going to be something with power.
Well, Ali Orgler, if there was one player to do it, we've ticked into stoppage time at the end of extra time. 3 in the wall. Can he find a special blast and send the Mariners to the round of 16? Ali Orgler into the wall. The wall did its job. McCaskey, broken play. Not many numbers committed forward though, and Pavlicic makes a catch and runs to the edge of his penalty area. Oh, Laval being a nuisance. But he has infringed. Oh, heart palpitations. And now Pavlicic restarts. We've played 1 minute beyond the 120. Coco chasing, but he'll be led to the ball here. As it slides out, the full-time whistle sounds. Penalty kicks will determine who goes through to the round of 16. Andrew Redmayne runs to the sideline. His night is just getting started. And in the Hahn Australia Cup, it finishes after 120 minutes of full field football. Sydney United 1, Central Coast Mariners 1. Penalties are next. So Eric Partaloo, we're going to look back at some of the goals that have, or the 2 goals that have led us to this point. Central Coast Mariners, I think they would feel as though they did enough to win this game. Sydney United kept pressuring, kept challenging. They didn't create a huge number of clear cuts, though, before they got that penalty to equalise right at the end of the 90.
Yeah, look, both sides, I think, didn't really deserve to go and win this game in normal time. But that one chance going through the middle of the defence for Ollie Laval to jump on and just tuck it away, that was a really neat finish. And you were just thinking, okay, they can't surely give up that 1-0 advantage, but they just did not stop peppering the 18-yard box. It was long throws, it was through balls, and the substitute, Krislovic, coming off the bench and tucking away a really neat penalty. Will he take another one in the shootout?
Stay with us. That penalty shootout is coming up soon. So the last briefing from referee Sophie Allam to the 2 goalkeepers, Andrew Redmayne and Adam Pavlicic. It's penalties to determine who goes through to the round of 16. Will it be a 3rd A-League scalp for Sydney United? Will it be the Central Coast Mariners advancing to the round of 16 on spot kicks? They haven't had a great Australia Cup history, the Mariners, it must be said. In fact, they haven't been to the round of 16 since losing the final to Melbourne Victory in 2021. So they've been waiting a long time to get over this hurdle. Extra time in penalties has been what's eliminated them in the 4 editions of the Cup since. Penalties to Sydney 2 years in a row in 22 and 23. Extra time to Heidelberg and then Perth in the last 2 seasons. So Sydney United have won the toss. They're going to shoot first, and it will be down to the right of screen. Perhaps thankfully so, because the left of screen is cordoned off with fencing, so the fans wouldn't have been able to congregate behind the goals. Andrew Redmayne could not stop Michael Krislovich's penalty at the end of the 90, but now he loads up for spot kicks. Sydney United shoot first, and Carlos de Oliveira makes it 1-0.
Smart penalty. Not expecting anything less from de Oliveira going down the middle. Redmayne's not going to stay and stand the first penalty. He'll have to pick a side, and it's advantage to the home side. Sydney United get the first one.
How about this? 17-year-old Luke Bekmanovsky. He's taken the ball and walked down to the penalty spot. The young attacker has scored goals for fun through the youth ranks. Can he strike through in the penalty shootout here? First kick for the Mariners is Luke Bekmanovsky. And that's why he stepped up and took it. An emphatic penalty.
That was confident. Smashes it home with his left foot. Right into the corner. Not much any goalkeeper could do about that one when you pick the right side. That was a really strong, confident penalty, and that was a pressure one as well. It keeps the Mariners in it.
No surprise to see that the next penalty taker is Kyle Chimenti, subbed on in the second half of extra time for Mason Wells. Andrew Redmayne is showing him his drink bottle. I'm not sure if that's gamesmanship or just the latest tactic. Chimenti stands stationary as Redmayne bounces along the line. And it's a good penalty to make it 2-1 to Sydney United. They keep their noses in front.
Yeah, both keepers not getting a touch yet, not picking the right way. Chimenti just side-footing it. Andrew Redmayne trying all the tricks in the book. We've seen it before. And he's diving down really low and hard. So once Andrew Redmayne picks the right side, he's going to get one of those. He didn't get that one.
And he's out to have a word to Harrison Steele, who is the second penalty taker for the Central Coast Mariners. Adam Pavlizic's turn to see what he can do. The boos sound across the playing surface. Steele taking his time to set the ball. Looks like he's going to take it left-footed. Harry Steele. Nerves of Steele. And he puts it into the top right. Goalkeeper went the right way, but that was just too well struck.
Wow. That is a really good penalty. And he's lucky it stayed under the bar. That was rising as it hit the back of the net. Nothing Pavlicic can do. Might have tweaked his knee in the process, but taking those penalties in front of the crowd, it's a little bit difficult. More difficult on Cup night.
All success for the takers so far. Michael Krislovich, his penalty is the reason we're here. He scored in the 90th minute, and he went top right. Game theory and the mental side of it as much as the technical here. Does he go the same way? Does he mix it up? Andrew Redmayne has a form line to read off. Can Krislovich make it 2 from 2 on the night? Yes, he can. He went to the same spot. Redmayne called his bluff, and Krislovich still converted.
That's a good penalty when the goalkeeper still gets a little touch, picks the right way. He just couldn't get his arm high enough. The penalty's too strong and it's too high and placed perfectly from Krislovich. He opened up his hips and showed him that way. Nobody's missed yet.
And now the next taker will be the Mariners goal scorer, Oliver Laval. Until the 90th minute, it looked like his goal would be the winner. Now he has to get it done from the penalty spot. And get it done he does. Laval scores. We are still yet to have an unsuccessful penalty.
Yeah, it's cool and calm from Laval. Unlike his finish in normal time, he smashed that into the corner. He just rolled and opened up his hips and put it into the side netting. It's a great confidence booster for Ollie Laval tonight.
Up next, it's the teenager Gabriel Tillo. 4 goals in all competitions this season. And we saw him have a shot when he got subbed on that was blocked away. He is confident in front of the target. How does he stack up at the mental game against a veteran keeper? Gabriel Tillo wasting no time, and rightfully so, because he scores confidently. Sydney United keep their noses in front.
Yeah, it's beautiful stuff. Great to see the youngsters keep their head and hit the back of the net. Again, that little stutter just to see where Redmayne was going. Down to his right. This cup night is getting interesting. It's great to see the crowd getting right behind this.
So Pavlicic walks back to his mark as Chris Donnell, who has had a monster game, comes down to the penalty spot. Look, he's trying to keep himself calm, juggling the ball. Nonchalant. Pavlicic is going to make him wait. A miss or a save, and Sydney United will shoot to win. Donnell to keep things level. Things stay level. Goalkeeper went the right way, but it's a good penalty from Chris Donnell, and it's 4-4, and we have sudden death.
Oh my word. That is an amazing penalty. He's absolutely wrapped that into the side netting. And like you said, Teo, he's had a massive game tonight, and that was a massive penalty to make sure the Mariners stay in the hunt.
Farakoko. His highlight of the season was a late free kick winner here in front of the fans. In the early rounds of the campaign, he can get it done from the dead ball. And again, Andrew Redmayne will make him wait. Sydney United have converted a perfect 4 from 4. They have kept the lead in this shootout every step of the way. Can Farakoko continue the trend? A stutter step run up and a good finish. Redmayne diving out of the way of the ball, and he tried to course correct, but the penalty was beyond his reach.
That's tremendous. Tremendous composure from Coco. Just to hit it high and down the middle. It's very difficult, but they must be thinking that Andrew Redmayne is going and moving either side. Will he stay down central again, Andrew Redmayne? The next one.
Well, this is the advantage of shooting first, because now it is shooting simply to save it every time the Mariners step up if Sydney United convert first. Ali Orgler. The crowd rise, cheering for Pavlicic. Can Orgler hold his nerve and keep the shootout going? Yes, a good penalty. Pavlicic diving the wrong way to that one. 5-5 after 5 kicks each, and now we get into the guys who didn't put their name down originally.
Well, I never heard a crowd get so quiet after being so loud, trying to put Ali Orgler off from that penalty. It was a pressure one, and he's not phased at all.
Where is the first miss or save of the night coming from? We've seen some excellent penalties. Michael Glassick is next to walk to the spot. A long run up here for Glassick. Glassick's penalty. Struck with the power you'd expect. The long run up, and he lashed it in.
There was no chance in the world he was going to make a stuttering run up, the big man. It's all about power, brute force. A little bit to the right-hand side, but high and around Andrew Redmayne, who just cannot get close enough to it.
Lucas Moragas is next. Arguably the player of the match out there tonight, in the thick of everything. Another left footer. He's walking back right down the middle here. I assume he's going to take it left footed. Pavlicic waits on the line. Lucas Moragas must score. Does score. As close as we've seen to a save, though.
Well, that was close. That's as close as it gets in a shootout. Moragas, he really didn't disguise his hips at all, and he was lucky he hit it low. because if it would have gone or bounced a little bit higher, Pavlicic would have saved that one.
Well, it's got all the elements of a marathon shootout. Central Coast Mariners, Andrew Redmayne, Sydney United. Perfect hat trick for a penalty shootout to go well beyond the distance. We're up to the 7th taker, and it's Dylan Rose. Of a two-step run-up, he puts it just beyond the fingertips of Redmayne. The keepers are getting closer, but they still can't keep it out.
Well, I hope they're going to record this and put it down for future generations. This penalty shootout is exactly how you should be taking them. The goalkeepers are getting nowhere near it, and it's because of the quality from the penalty takers. Rose adds another goal in this shootout.
It's another teenage taker for the Mariners, Jesse Mantell. A real spark that led to them having a second win through extra time, prevented them from being overrun. And now he must score here. Mantell! Pavlicic well out of the equation. 7-7.
Well, we're in for a long night, I think. Taya, who's going to miss? There's a little shimmy run up, but he had one thing on his mind, and that was putting it right in the corner. That's a good penalty from Jesse Mantell.
And so next is the captain, Adrian Vlastelica. Redmayne adjusting his shorts. Vlastelica into the underside of the roof of the net. It kept rising, but that's a good penalty, and Redmayne left standing.
Well, they nearly ripped the net off there. Vlastelica, quick run up, no messing, no mucking around. Redmayne did stay centrally, hoping somebody would go into the spider's web.
And no one's walking down from halfway because Andrew Redmayne has decided, I'm not staying until penalty number 11, I'm going to take right now. He scored in 2023 to win a penalty shootout against the Mariners for Sydney FC. All he can do here is keep them in this one. Keeper versus keeper arrives at kick number 8. Andrew Redmayne, synonymous with penalty shootouts in Australia. And he is going to go for the longest run-up of anyone. Playing up to the theatre of it all. Here comes Redmayne. And he powers it in. That was a bullet. And it's 8-8.
Well, he controlled it, Taya, and that was more important than the power. I was expecting that long run-up and potentially to go high and wide or miss the target, but the long run-up, and just there, slowed himself down. But goalkeepers, they're in front of goal more often than the other players, and he knows his way around that 6-yard box.
And so he takes a quick sip, and now he will look up at Koya Nakano, the next penalty taker. Spot kick number 9 in the shootout for Sydney United. You wouldn't want to have taken your shin guards out or your boots off if you kicked first, because we're getting closer to a second lap. Koya Nakano is taking his time to put the ball on the spot. Redmayne has his 2 cents. Are we about to see the first non-conversion? Koya Nakano, all the pressure on him. The tension is unbearable.
Oh.
But there was no reason to worry. Nakano with a great penalty. He almost out-theatred Redmayne on that one.
They say the longer that you wait, the more chance that you're going to score from the penalty spot. It just adds that little bit more pressure for the goalkeeper. But he kept his nerve, and he thought about that for a long time, and no wonder that was the best penalty yet.
And a rueful shake of the head. He is just calm. Why was he taking 9th? That's what I would ask. Anyway, the focus turns to the Mariners and Storm Rue. And again, he must score to keep the Mariners in the cup. Storm Rue. Just beyond the outstretched right hand of Adam Pavlicic. But we might never be going home. It's 9-9.
I mean, how did he squeeze that into the bottom corner? It wasn't a lot of pace, but on this artificial surface, the ball just keeps moving. potentially on a grass surface that might have been saved. Doesn't matter, it's in the back of the net.
18-year-old Tomislav Ozanic. Andrew Redmayne is well out of the frame of the goal, and now he strolls in. Ozanic steps out his runner. And he puts the penalty in. Redmayne went the right way. But as has been the case through this shootout, just too well struck.
The little run up there, I thought Redmayne might have got to it, but that's perfectly placed in the corner. There's not much the goalkeepers can do when it's down there. And we go to double digits, Taya.
Well, it is 10-9 in this shootout. Noah McCann walks up to the penalty spot. He's done plenty to impress in his first competitive Mariners showing. But he still needs to hit the back of the net with this penalty kick. A deep breath from McCann. And he puts it down the middle. Pavlicic didn't dive a great deal out of the way, but another forcefully struck spot kick takes us to 10-10.
Yeah, he was immense tonight. Great debut for the Central Coast Mariners at the back, and he did not want to step up earlier and make sure that this game now goes to 10-all. Andrew Redmayne, what has he got left? What trick has he got up his sleeve to try and get something on the ball? I think the goalkeeper's only touched it once.
Well, now it's keeper versus keeper again. Redmayne's already taken his spot kick with number 8, Adam Pavlicic. Can he get it done with the boots? Oh, that's a pinpoint penalty. And if the next one hits the back of the net, we go around for a second lap.
This is incredible. It's absolutely incredible action in the Australia Cup. This game could be going till midnight the way we're going. Both goalkeepers have scored now.
And the last taker of the 22 players eligible is Callum McCaskey, the teenage centre-back, 17 years old. He's lucky last. Can the Mariners keep their luck going? Pavlicic a save away from winning it. McCaskey off the post. Sydney United go through. They win the marathon at Adenza Park. And a 22-kick penalty shootout leads to the cup set after all. It is scenes in the Hahn Australia Cup. Sydney United won, Central Coast Mariners won, and Sydney United win 11-10 on penalty kicks. Eric Partaloo, the drama, the celebrations, the heartache for young Callum McCaskey. Gee, we had a marathon shootout. It felt like we weren't going home for a while.
And this is why the Australia Cup is so important. Look at these scenes. Look at the crowd. Look how much it means to them. They've turned up midweek, cold winter's night, to watch Sydney United play and watch Sydney United continue to win. Another cup set, the third already in the round of 32. We're going to see more of that action. It just had to come down to penalties to separate these two sides. They weren't good enough to really go and win the game. They got a goal each in the first half and the second half, but then it was the posts. Both goalkeepers really didn't get a touch of the ball, and right at the end, somebody's got to miss, and unfortunately it was McCaskey.
Well, barely a roll of the ball away from going back around for a second lap of penalty takers out there. And instead, it's Sydney United who go through. The Central Coast Mariners are cup set for the 4th time in the Australia Cup. It's an unwanted stat. They draw level with Wellington as the team that has lost the most number of times to NPL opponents. And it is a 3rd cup set for Sydney United. They advance to the round of 16. Their hat goes in the draw. What a night out at Adenza Park. On behalf of Eric Partaloo, I'm Teo Pellizzeri. I hope you enjoyed this one as much as we did.
Fantastic. What a way to end the game. I mean, it went all the way, drama-filled. How was that for you on the sidelines?
Oh man, it definitely got the heart racing, yeah. But for the fans, it was an unbelievable game, yeah. Brilliant.
This is what the Australia Cup does. It brings the fans back. It brings the fans together. How good are some of these scenes, seeing such a historic club and going and beating another A-League side?
Oh mate, it's brilliant. That's, you know, this is why we do it. It's a club with so much history and support, like since, what is it, 58, and it just keeps rolling and rolling, and now we go again.
Talk us through the penalty shootout, because it got quite dramatic at the end there. No goalkeeper was able to touch the ball, really. Was it just a case of, you know, hanging in there? Did you practice penalties at all during the week?
Oh mate, the boys take penalties after every training session. But yeah, it was just one of those nights, like I was standing with Ron Corrie and he's going, like, who's going to bloody save one here? That's right. So yeah, it was good.
And look, you're into the next round of the Australia Cup. You know, who would you like to play? Would you like to get a little cheeky away trip somewhere? Have you got anyone that you'd like to play?
Oh, it doesn't matter, mate. We focus on whoever it is, and hoping they get a big support again.
Absolutely. That was fantastic tonight, Miro. Thank you so much.
Guys, thank you. Thank you.
Well done, mate. Enjoy it. Go enjoy it.